you would hope that a guy that's a fighter, he's always in shape. Heavyweights, that ain't happening. Let's just be honest, okay? And so, he
Even
came,
when you're
he
in
fought
great
hard.
shape, you still get tired.
Oh, yeah. He fought hard.
Fine day.
I give it up for Billy Swanson. You know what? The Big Sexy, I love the nickname.
Love Big
But
Sexy.
a guy that can rock a mullet and fight and be Big Sexy, I thought, he came and did the best he could. It just was too much for him in too short a notice. But Marcelo Gomp, I mean, this was the third time he was scheduled to fight that they were going to have to pull his fights because his opponents kept falling out. So at least Billy Swanson stepped up and took it. And, like I said, Marcelo did what he was supposed to do. So let's see him in the next fight when they put him up
May
with
Ariel's light
a little bit
shine
higher
upon
ranked
you.
opponent.
Yeah, I thought Billy was going to get a takedown. At least one. I thought for sure he'd get one, but then
He tried.
Like you said, after about 3 minutes, he was exhausted.
Sure
and
goals
there
can
was nothing
always
left
help.
in the tank.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, overall, not bad though. I expected. I honestly, had he survived another couple minutes or a couple seconds, he would have got back after that break. He could have had another better chance with like the first minute of the second round. But then it would.
Now he was exhausted.
It would have been done.
He was
after that as well.
exhausted.
He was so tired.
Josh Thompson, it is time to talk about one of my favorite products that we have as a sponsor. I love Fume. Fume, F-U-M, is one of the best products you can use, especially if you're a smoker. It is the basis of essential oils. It is a beautiful inhaler made out of wood. I'm a woodworker myself, so I really appreciate the quality that they did it with. You use these cores that are just doused with essential oils, even though they're not messy. You stick them in that inhaler, and you can take and use that to give yourself a clear sinus cavity, fill up your lungs, feel good. It's like a menthol. There's peppermint. There's bubbly lime. There's all these different flavors for you to use. It is an outstanding product that I use every day. I think you people will like it too.
Yeah, I've used it because I have nasal issues based off of fighting for years. I've got cauliflower in one nostril,
that's
and
from
I've had a
having your
deviated
nose up in the air with everything, man. You're always.
And I've had a deviated septum on the other side. But the one thing that I will say is this: is I've actually lent it out a couple times to some family that have had COVID and they lost their taste. And they said after about 2 days of using it, they've gotten their taste or feel like they've gotten some of their taste back. So like with coffee, they couldn't taste coffee. And then after using it for 2 days, they said, look, I can start to taste the creamer a little bit and the sugar, whereas before I couldn't taste the sugar. Now look, this has been months of them not having their taste. So now them just using this for 2 days, it was one thing they said that they did notice a difference. For me, I use it before bed because of my nasal cavity and my deviated septum and my cauliflower, and it also helps clear me out. Most of you guys that listen to our show understand I have a little bit of a nasal talk when I talk, and that's why John gets on me so much, and you guys just laugh about me in the comment section. But it's true. So from all the years of fighting, I use it and it actually clears me out. Makes me feel better about the lack of coughing during the show. So if you guys pick them up, go to Fume, and I'll tell you right now, they are amazing. I love them. They're safe. There's no smoke in the car or in the house or anything around, so you don't have to worry about that as well.
So you want to go to www.breathefume. Now, breathe. Make sure when you say breathe fume, fume does not have an E on the end. It is just F-U-M. Use breathefume.com and then go to weighing in as your promotional code to get 10% off on your Fume inhaler. All of the cores. It is a great product. We hope that you try it and like it like we do.
For young fighters, and I've gone through this as well, but Logan Storley, fighting in his home state,
felt the pressure.
Kind of almost in his hometown. I think for the first time in his career, he felt an adrenaline dump.
Yep.
The crowd was fucking electric for him. They were all standing on their feet when he walked out. Yep. It was crazy. I mean, it was, and then the one thing too is when I was watching his last fight there against AJ Matthews, when I was watching it and listening to it, I thought they were booing every time he got takedowns. But then in the arena, I realized what they were doing. Everyone stands up every time Logan gets a takedown. And they go, 2. They start yelling, 2. Yep. I mean, they're obviously all big fans of Logan. Every time a takedown came, they were yelling, 2. 2, and I was like, it was really awesome. But he faced an adrenaline dump this time. It really hit him hard. I think once he realized that Skiro was not as easy to take down as he thought, and that tall, long, lanky body style poses threats. I think with Skiro though as well, he needed to use what I said what Jenna Fabian needed to use. That push kick up the middle, the long jab, the put the 1-2, the right, throw the right hand, then the jab right after. Don't aim for the head, aim for the neck or the chest. Those little tiny things will make a big difference on whether you get taken down or not. But I mean, even still, Logan had to work for every single takedown, especially in that first round. He was just working, even then trying to get past guard.
That
you have
was
someone,
the big difference maker there.
Yeah, and Logan's not a tall guy. So when you are facing someone who's tall and lanky, what they can do is they can get you in that Eddie Bravo lockdown, and you're stuck, kind of. You're pretty much stuck. You can't really do a whole lot of ground and pound because your body is not high enough up to really develop the leverage.
No, you're elongated out, and you're being held down.
Yep. And that potentially, when you start trying to open up from that position, you could potentially be swept from there. And then he also had a really good butterfly / hook sweep kind of position that he was using really well.
He used a beautiful butterfly guard.
Yeah, he was way better than I think you and I both gave him credit for him. I was like, yeah, he's not bad. I saw his stuff, but I didn't think I thought Logan would take him down, and I said he's gonna do what he did to AJ Matthews with the nasty ground and pound. But I was like, wow, Logan couldn't even posture up, otherwise he would have got back to his feet. He was in phenomenal shape. He was making Logan work at every turn. Everything Logan was trying to do, he was making him work. I think that was a good fight for Logan to come back off of, because I didn't have it a split decision. First, I want to make sure that's clear. It wasn't a split decision. I had it 30-27 for Logan.
No.
So you didn't, or no?
No. I had Dante winning the last round. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that as well. Okay, I could give you that. Yeah, especially the way he finished it with those hard elbows against the fence, and I could say that. I could see that. Yeah, definitely, I could see that. So let's just agree, 29-28. Yeah, I'll lean towards John's judging for once. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a good fight for him to come back on, because it made him work really hard. It made him understand that hey, it doesn't matter who you're fighting, you can't take it for granted. You've got to go out there and get it done. And I don't want to say he overlooked him, but I didn't think he expected his wrestling to be that good. And then when he got cut, I think at the end of the beginning of the second round. Yeah, when he got cut in the second, that kind of changed a little bit for him too. That I think that kind of worried him a little bit. So there was a lot going on. You're at your home state, your home crowd. You get a cut in the second. The guy's a lot harder to take down than you thought, and he's tall, long, and lanky. It's hard to deal with on the ground. I can't pass guard. It's frustrating. You're like, shit, I'm over here trying to put on a show. I thought Logan was going to start crying at the end there. He seemed very emotional.
He was.
Crappy, he was frustrated with himself.
But you got to look at it this way. He came out, when you say he had a hard time, he didn't have a hard time taking him down at the beginning of the fight. No. He took him right down, okay? Think about it. He took him right down. But it was that butterfly guard of Dante Skiro that gave him problems, because he had to work hard. And you could tell that Logan was amped by the crowd, and he wanted to impress the crowd. He wanted to make them happy. He wanted to perform in front of them. So he put a lot of energy out in that first round, trying to get past the guard of Dante Skiro. And he did multiple times. He got to he got to half guard. He got to side control multiple times. And he even dipped his arm inside to slip himself past him to get him back into the butterfly guard. And Dante did a great job with that. And he was not burning the energy that Logan was burning a ton of energy trying to get rid of him in that. And that was the difference. And, coming back from, having some time off because, he had injured his knee in the Amazov fight, and being in front of his home crowd, these are the kind of fights you need, though. These are the ones you learn off of. And you got the win, and there's a lot of lessons for you to learn off of it. And he's going to come back an even better fighter. He's good. Obviously there's always something to learn, but I think the real thing is, I think the Bellator got someone in Dante Skiro, because he's freaking good. His wrestling is actually, good. Obviously he got taken down a lot from Storley, but that was kind of expected. But his actual jiu-jitsu game is damn good. You know, I watched him in the top position when he fought Kenny Robertson in his last fight. You know, he really did a great job with the top position. But Kenny had him in trouble, a lot more trouble than Logan did in that fight, and he fought his way out of it. So I said, you know, he's a tough dude, and you know, he's got a good top game. But I wasn't able to see the ground game that he was able to implement against Logan, and he's impressive.
Yeah, when I said that it looked like he was going to cry after the interview, I want to make sure you guys understand. Fighting is a very emotional sport. There's a lot of adrenaline that goes along with it. There's a lot of ups and downs, and especially when your family and friends are all there and everyone's watching you, and you know that the crowd basically is everyone in that damn arena was there for him. You know, and so when you know that, there's a lot more added pressure. And so I think it was good for him to get it out of the way. And I didn't mean that in a disrespectful way, but there's a lot of emotions that go on. And when you hear the damn announcer go a split decision, your life flashes before your eyes. You're like, what the hell is going on? You know, and I thought he won the fight convincingly, but one of the judges didn't have it that way. And so for him, it's an emotional feeling, man. There's a lot of things going through your mind, especially when you're, like I said, in your home crowd with family and friends all there, specifically to watch you fight. So, but I like you. Another thing that you said, and I've said this all the time. I say this all the time. When you can go in there and not have one of your best nights and still walk out of there with a W, that's all that matters.
Kettle lamb is
what all that
make
matters.
Of it.
Like it's no one. Big deal. Yeah,
because not every night is the night that you actually feel good.
Nope. It's so funny. You can feel like, oh, this is the easiest weight cut I've ever had. I felt great all week. Like I was recovering. Like food intake was great. Preparation was great. I woke up this morning feeling pumped, you know, and then like all of a sudden I took a nap in the middle of the day for 30, 40 minutes, woke up and just felt done. It's happened like that. It's happened that way. You know, and so it really just depends on the day. But for him, I think it was a good.
That's okay. You have left. But either way, I'm not yawning.
I think it was a good thing that he was able to walk away with a victory, be tested, and do it in front of his home crowd, because his home crowd's going to forgive him the most.
Oh, yeah.
We love you, man. There he was walking out of the arena, they yelled, two. I loved it. So don't get down on yourself, Logan, man. Just back to the drawing board, you know, just clean up a couple things and get you back, brother.
All right, let's go to the main event. Czech Congo against Sergey Karatanov.
All right, you guys want my honest opinion of this fight?
Let's hear it.
My honest opinion is this. I didn't think it was going to be this good. I didn't think this fight was going to be this good. I'm just being honest. Because I was actually kind of like, I thought that the Adam Borg and J.J. Wilson fight should have been the main event. It was supposed to be a title eliminator and this and that. So I thought for sure it was going to be that should have been the main event. So when they put this fight, I'm like, all right, I get it. Heavyweights, you always get more clout than little guys. I understand. But man, I know for two older fighters, you know, I mean, and you know, we know they're kind of past their prime. But the thing is though, is they fucking brought it, man. They brought it. Like, I'm not mad at that fight. It had a little bit of everything. At the end of the first, Sergey throws a kick, and the toenail like hits Congo, and Congo turns his back. Had there been 10 more, 15 more seconds in that round, I think he would have got him out of there. I think Karatanov would have beat Czech and got him out of there. They go back to the round ends. They come back in for round two. They're getting after each other, and they're having some good exchange at the beginning of the second round. But then midway through, Karatanov starts taking over.
Oh yeah.
Then all of a sudden, bop bop.
Ends that shot.
Then lands the big right hand, then follows up with
a big all of a sudden get the stanky leg, man, and it's like, oh, he's hurt.
Yeah, and then, but I thought also in the first round, and then again in the second round, it's the knees. Check. I don't know, whatever you do, stop getting away from your knees, man. If you're going to use one weapon for your whole career, for the rest of your career, use your damn knees.
Deadly.
I swear, they were so deadly and so powerful. It was amazing to watch. I mean, I was watching, he was folding Karatanov over every time he landed him. I was like, ugh. I was getting sick to my stomach thinking,
he landed one to the body, and you could see Karatanov get that look in his face like, oh. And it was like, oh.
His kneecap was tickling his fucking spine. It was nasty. I was like, God. So, like, you could just see him fold over. You see Karatanov take a step back, and then Czech would kind of hang out there. No, man, get after it. But he was exhausted as well. I mean, but overall, it was a great fight. It was a fun fight, I should say. It was a fun fight. There was good technique involved. The output wasn't as much because they are older. But I mean, ultimately, like, look, I've seen both these guys in really, really boring fights. But then again, this fight, and I've seen them in great fights. I've seen them in knockdown, drag-out fights. You know, both of them have fought the who's who in the heavyweight divisions. But this fight, to me, honestly, I was really surprised. I was very thankful that it was a great fight.
You know, after talking to Karatanov's people, you know, he broke his left hand in the fight.
Makes sense.
And he went into the fight with a broken right hand. So that's when he was down there, and he's got 2 broken hands, and he's getting choked.
What you make
I'm
of
out. And
I'm done.
You know, it's like, and if he didn't do that, not sure the Czech would have been able to get himself up to get to the 3rd round, because he gave everything he had. He gave it all, man. He everything that he could do to get Karatanov out of there. He put it out and got it right at the end of the round, 4:59. And you look and you go, can't ask for anything more from someone.
Yeah, I mean,
and Czech is always mad at me, and he's always mad at you, and he's always mad at everybody. But you got to give it up when the guy puts it all out there. Did a great job, and got a big win. That was a big win for him. Well deserved.
well, as Czech would say to us, fuck you, John.
Fuck you, Josh.
He doesn't like it. He got mad at us one time because we said some things on our show about him, and he got pissed off. I don't know. Look, but I'm giving you love right now, man. You fought a good fight. You were gritty. You toughed it out. You know, like I said, you finished that first round. He finished that first round a little scary. So I was thinking, man.
Oh, his corner, you know,
here and set the price.
You got to figure his cornerman is Tiki Goshen, who's his manager and his trainer, along with Paul Herrera. Tiki was all over him, saying, "Man, you got to go out there and you got to fight this guy. You got to stop backing up. You got to start throwing that jab. You got to make him back. You know, get on his back heel." He was right in everything he's saying. I'm like, "Yep, that's what you got to do." But can you do it? And he went out there and tried. He started throwing the jab, started landing, started changing the course of the fight a little bit. So, but it was really, overall, that was a fun fight. That's all I ever want. They don't have to mean a lot, but they have to be fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I want to see 2 guys go out there and lay it on the line. That's all I care about. Look,
you give it everything you have, you'll never hear me say anything bad, ever. Because you can't ask anything more from me.
Hei, comanzi un Glovo? Uită de taxele de livrare! Cu Glovo Prime ai livrări gratuite nelimitate de la restaurante, supermarketuri și magazine. Glovo, orice-ți dorești, livrat în câteva minute!
all right, everyone, go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WayneIn, and you can make bets on every sport there is. Basketball, tennis, soccer, golf, and even during the election time, they had bets on that. They've got different types of bets for all different sports, and including one of our favorite sports that we love to talk about, MMA, and also boxing. So make sure you go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WayneIn.
The best part about betting on the sports is then you become more involved. You feel like you're part of it. You don't have to bet a lot. $5, big deal. But use that promo code. You see that nice little barcode? That one right there? Use that. Use your phone. Hit it. Put in that promo code weighing in. You will get a bonus extra cash for your account. You can use that to make millions. Okay, maybe not millions. But you can use it to make a couple dollars. Have fun with it. Don't bet too much.
Anybody's looking to buy or looking to work?
All right, well, hey, let's get into the
Anybody's
UFC.
looking to buy
So
Let's
or
do
you
it.
scroll
looking to
down a
work?
little bit.
Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start this?
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Well, I want to. I know. I want to start at the all the way down because who impressed me, who was very impressive, was one of Sadawad's teammates, Rahima. The J is like an I at the end. So Ramiz
Brahima, I think.
Brahimai, yeah, Brahimai, I think is how it is.
Brahimai? Okay.
Yeah, I think it is. They were saying it like that
Brahimai.
on the yeah. He got the fight to the ground.
Dude, he looked good.
He looked fucking good. I was
Yes, he
like,
did.
oh shit. So I just wanted to make sure I gave him a little bit of a shout out, man.
He
looked
buzzsawed
phenomenal.
Sasha,
Yeah.
who we've seen as a tough dude because we've seen him in other fights.
Yep.
Buzzsawed him, and a great performance.
Yep. There was that performance, and I thought his performance was really good, and I thought Nunez's performance was really good.
Oh,
against,
come on. What about
Malek.
Ignacio Bahamondes against Roosevelt?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I mean, that was my
freaking
bad.
knockout right at the
Yep.
end. Oh, my God.
Yep.
It was
Beautiful.
fantastic.
Beautiful. Yeah. Look, he like they were saying earlier, he was setting up going to the body, like throughout and at the very end, was he up on the cards? I'm assuming he was up on the cards.
We don't
and
know.
Then,
you would think, but
yeah, he was. Then he ended up throwing that spinning kick. He came in like I don't know what the scoring was, but he wasn't content with just waiting out for the last 5 seconds.
love that.
Throwing, beautiful job, great work. Yeah, just absolutely. Like, that's what you want to see from young fighters. That's the type of stuff you want to see. Like, hey, you're always trying to finish the fight, and it's funny
Come on.
because
Throwing a wheel kick at that time with 5 seconds left in the round, it was beautiful.
great timing, everything. It was awesome, and homeboy went out. Roosevelt was out cold.
Yeah, he was out.
But it's funny because there's been some fighters that we have had where I've talked to or we've done podcasts on or we've done fighter meetings with, and I tell them like, hey, you were dominating the fight, but it's not good enough sometimes just to dominate the fight. You got to get them out of there because there's chances that that means that you're keeping them in the fight, and there's a chance they could potentially do something like that to steal the fight. And they're
Now
like,
you're
oh, but
pissing
if I'm
off
dominating-
Rafi on Stockton.
Jeez. Nah, I gave Rafian some love after his last fight.
Great.
So he's got to get off my ass.
William Knight looked very explosive. It was not a left hook. He called it a left hook. It was a left hand that just flung up.
Yeah.
But obviously it touched Fabio Chiron in the right spot on his chin and just put him down and hit him a couple times. That was it. But that was a nice win by William Knight and a beautiful backflip. A beautiful backflip. For a big dude doing a backflip like that, very nice.
Was
well
it as
executed.
good?
9.8.
Was it as good as Stevenson's? Was it as good as Gable Stevenson's?
No, because Stevenson's was off of a gold medal.
Gold medal? Just that.
And there was more distance. But it was really good.
Nunez over Malecki.
Oh, I love that fight. I'm sorry.
Jeez.
Josiana Nunez came in and she looked like Joe Frazier going in there, man. She was shorter, she had less reach, and she just buzzsawed Malecki. Here you're looking at someone that supposedly comes from a stand-up background. Do you not understand what circling out is? And I know it's been taught to you. She went straight back every time.
And hands down.
Man.
She went straight back and hands down.
Man, I'm like, I know you've been taught. What are you doing? And this is what happens when you go straight back. Someone keeps coming forward. They can go forward faster than you can go back. And the faster you're going back, the higher your chin's going. And then as she was finally kind of exiting out, but she was kind of turning away from her, she got buzzsawed. That shot hit her, put her out. That was a beautiful shot.
Yeah, Nunez didn't give a shit about how big and how tall.
Nope. Or what her
She
style was or how dangerous she supposedly was on her feet. She said, well, let's find out. She did.
No, she fucking threw some huge. Everything she
did.
had, she was throwing had to be behind it. I thought that was a great performance by her. Some nice stuff. The Pantoja fight and Royval fight was a good fight. Royval was able to escape a couple times out of some submissions. It looked like Pantoja was starting to get tired towards the end of the first because Pantoja had put in a lot of energy early in the fight. Got the back, got the hooks, had it was just transition after transition, but he wasn't able to get any finishes. They had scrambles, all the scrambles they had, and that's what's great about fighting Royval because when you have him in the fight, he's a scrapper, man. He just goes and goes and goes.
Oh yeah,
man. He gave up that back position and wasn't able to get out, and it was just.
But he makes big mistakes.
He does. Yeah.
I mean, big mistakes. It's like pressure is great, and being there and being a guy that's keeping that pressure and pace up is great. But you cannot make these mistakes because you're giving your opponent an opportunity to take advantage of positions. You're overextending. You're putting yourself in a bad spot. You just got to slow things down a little bit and be a little bit more into being technically correct and accurate with what he's doing than just volume. The volume got to him, and I think that's how Pantoja got him. That's how he got his back and was able to, choke him. So it was he's good. He's fun to watch.
Who, Pantoja or Royval?
Royval.
Yeah, he is.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah, because you don't know what he's going to do. He's also going to give up. He's going to give up his technique. He's going to give up that and give up a good position to put himself in a shitty position. That's what makes him fun to watch. It's not the smartest.
Sometimes you go, "What are you doing? Yeah. What?"
No, I know. Yeah, he is fun to watch though. Pichel.
It'll be interesting with Pantoja because Pantoja has fought, the champion Brandon Moreno twice. Beat him twice. The first one was he beat him in the Ultimate Fighter when they did the 125s. That was the first matchup. Pantoja, I think, was the number 1 seed, and I think Brandon Moreno was the 16th seed. And so they put them together, and Pantoja won it, and then he won again later on. So he's close right now to getting that championship fight. So that'd be interesting.
Well, Dana came out and said that this was to see who was going to fight him.
There you go.
So the
you
winner
have
of this
business
got
with
that
me?
fight, is what it sounds like. That's what
I think it might be different the third time.
Yeah. Moreno's he's on cloud 9 right now. So hopefully he didn't let it go to his head, and he's not reading his own paper clippings. But he seems very humble. He seems very driven, and so we'll see. Remember, Moreno came off some losses, like you said, off the Ultimate Fighter. Was it the Ultimate Fighter or Contenders?
No,
Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, he came off some losses there, and then came back in, and and didn't he go away because they had cut him or released him, and then he came back?
Yeah. He fought Sergio Pettis in the main event in Mexico City, and he lost that, and they started cutting guys off the 125s, and he was one.
Yeah. The thing is that division after Henry and DJ kind of left it was in shambles.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's kind of rejuvenated right now. I feel like they had to get a whole new batch of fighters, and they did, and they have and they don't have many though. That's the thing. I look at it like the 145 pound division for the females. That's what it looks like. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and that's all. But they're fucking good, and they're fun to watch.
Good.
That's the thing. So I ain't mad at it, man. I ain't mad at it. But I think it was probably one of the best things that the UFC did in business decisions was they traded DJ. Henry became the champion. And, it was a smart move. I think it was a smart move because it
worked
gave
out
him
well
fresh
for
new
him.
blood. Yeah, it worked out well. Now you have guys that are there that you like and that are not as dominant. So now you're getting, maybe you're not getting the best, but they're still damn
Doesn't
good.
matter. You're getting good matchups.
You're getting very good matchups.
And now, like I said,
There's
when,
no faster
Brandon
money than has Deva
lost
ever
to
considered
Sergio. I think I think he had one more fight, and that was against Pantoja the second time, and he lost that one. And then I know he was released and stuff. But you take a look at the way that whole thing is set up now. Yeah, like you said, you can cross mix and intertwine a lot of those guys, and it's not going to be the dominant fighter that DJ was in that class, which is sometimes that's good when you get a lot of movement with the belt. People are interested.
Yeah, and especially when there are fights like this, because you got to remember what Figueiredo, when he was the champ, and then Moreno beat him. Right? It was like all of a sudden it shook us up because we were thinking we were going to see another dominant guy like we had with DJ. Because he was so damn strong. He was so big for the weight. They didn't work out that way. So this is what's making it more fun. So this is what sparked my interest back on this weight class. So, what else you got, Dave?
Vince Pichel against Austin Hubbard.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good fight. In typical Vince Pichel fashion, he gave away the first round, but they actually scored it for him. So I thought he lost it. I thought Austin Hubbard actually got the first round. But it was the second round. Vince is there's something, he's super strong, and he is super tough. He's not real fast, but he's awkward as hell, but he hits from weird angles and he lands. And he's not afraid of sticking his head in to where you can hit him so he can hit you. He's just a weird styled fighter, but I worked with him so much. He's tough as hell. And I'll give Austin Hubbard. I thought Austin fought a very hard fight, a tough fight. And gave it everything he had. It was a good win for Vince, and not a bad loss for Austin. And he showed that he's getting better from when he started in the UFC. Austin Hubbard's way better now at this point, even though he got a loss in this one. I think they need to keep that game.
Yeah, but Shell's tough.
Yeah,
You can see the grittiness. He's just pushing the pace, trying to get after him, grinding him down, and just being a dirty, grimy fighter. Not a dirty fighter in the sense of cheating, but just just being just dirt. Just get after him. So it was a good little scrap back and forth. Like you said, I think I had Austin also win in the first round. It was close though, but I think I also had him win the first round. The Trevin Jones, and I'm not gonna even try to say this guy's name. Kakram.
Dude, that dude was great. I'm not gonna say his name. SK was fantastic. He came to fight. He fucking almost had him with the fucking guillotine in the first round, and then goes all the way in with boxing the guillotine at the third round right near the end and gets it, puts him unconscious. That was a great fight for him. I think he was called last minute. He was like 1 week because Trevin was supposed to be fighting somebody else in that. So that was not a fight that he was expecting. So he's taking on someone he really did not expect. But Sadiyub, however you say his name, Karamanov.
Yeah, I wonder where he's from.
They said.
Where did he say he's from?
I want to say he was in, because they said he went back there. Where did he go? It says Chicago, Illinois. Yeah.
Look, first off, if I'm supposed to fight someone, and I did my training camp for it, and you call me with someone with a name like that, I ain't fucking taking that fight. There's no fucking way I'm taking that fucking fight. It doesn't matter. Just look at the name. The name is he's fucking probably got good wrestling. He's probably strong as fuck. He can wrestle. He's strong as fuck, and he's probably got great cardio because he's probably been living in the woods.
Living in the mountains.
Up in the mountains somewhere. Yeah, hard pass, man. Don't call me for that shit, okay? I'll just wait for my original opponent to get well. Parker Porter, he's pretty dark. He's for a big guy. He has pretty good cardio. He's pushing the pace, throwing heavy heat. And Chase Sherman just had no answer after the first round.
Chase is too stiff.
Just too stiff. Straight upright.
Oh,
so Parker Porter was pretty good, man. I mean, he was changing the angles, cutting off the cage. He's throwing heavy heat. He was trying to mix it up with the wrestling. Worked really hard for takedowns he never got. But I mean, he was trying to make an effort to get in there. But it kept Sherman thinking about the takedown at least, and that opened up the hands. I thought I was very impressed for being Porter's a big guy, man. He got one takedown. Yeah, we got one takedown, and I was like, fuck, man. Like, I was looking at his ass. I'm like, good heavens, your thigh.
You were looking at his ass. Your thighs are the size of
the camera was facing right at his fucking ass. And he was like, it was a fucking meat packing plant. So it's like, just, boom. It was just there. But I was looking more at the size of his thighs. And his thigh was probably the size of my body.
Yep.
I'm not kidding you. It was probably like the thickness of my body. So crazy. But I mean, Chase didn't have any answers after he started slowing down and getting tired. He was too stiff, no movement left and right, just stood upright. He was getting hit quite a bit. Yeah.
I'll give it to Chase Sherman. He's tough, man. He takes a lot of shots, but he takes too many shots. I'm really worried about. Start moving your head. Come on, man. You're just getting hit too much.
Yeah.
They had cut him before, and just looking at this, I just don't see them holding on to Chase much longer.
No,
he's never going to be that guy that's able to push things the way they want. His second loss, he lost to Andre.
That's the wrong target.
Yep. 31 years old. I mean, that's kind of that marker where they're like, if we haven't made you like, you're not in the top 3 or 4 by now, might as well just cut you loose now. Marco Madsen versus Clay Guida. I mean, good fight. Clay's starting to slow down a little bit, but he still has great cardio. A lot of bouncing around, not as much output when it comes to the striking. When he throws straight, he lands. He jumps in, jumps out, does a great job. Yep. But I noticed that he started getting tired, or he started slowing down. He started going like inside leg kick and same arm punch, and it was missing. And he'd throw like a kick, and then he'd like come back to his position and he'd throw his big overhand right. When you miss that much, it's painful, man. Like you start slowing down. And he is getting a little bit older, but Marco Madsen's also 36. But he looks like he throws everything with power.
Everything he throws hard.
Yeah, his knees on Clay, I was like, oh God, no. I don't want to be hit with that.
His most effective tool throughout the fight was the knees. When he would finally grab hold and look, you're talking about a silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling. So when you talk about getting underhooks and being able to clinch up, it's a different level. The way that he clinches up, and Clay did a great job. You know, and this is where, look, if these guys wrestled, if Clay Guida wrestled Marco Madsen in a wrestling, it would be a tech really fast. Okay, couldn't. But it is the MMA, and what Clay was doing was really smart in his movement. He kept Mark really trying to work to get the takedown, never got one throughout the entire fight, made him fight where he is usually uncomfortable on his feet. It's just that those big knees, I think, is what really swayed the judges towards Mark, because they definitely landed. And you talk about tickling someone's spine. Yeah, a couple of those. Clay is a tough dude. A couple of those landed with a lot of steam.
There's no faster money than Shugo business. Has Deva ever?
But I mean, overall, man, Clay's still doing it. It was a split decision. No, I had it 29-28 for Marco Madsen.
That's how I had it.
Yeah, I didn't have it a split, but I mean, but Clay's still doing his thing, man. Tip my hat to him, man. Okay, main event.
Almost 40 years old.
Yep. Jared Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum.
Well, we going into this, like I said, I love Kelvin. He's my Roberto Duran of MMA. But even before the fight started, we texted and I said, yeah, I got Cannonier winning this. Mm-hmm. And it's just that, I do believe that you leave bits and pieces of yourself inside the cage with some of these wars. And Kelvin has had some wars. Now he's had some fights where he's been the hammer and his opponent has been the nail, like the Bisping fight, Michael hardly touched him in that.
Deva makes bold
he's had
choices.
Those kind of fights too. The Vitor Belfort fight, he beat up Vitor. But that fight that he had with Israel, he left certain parts of himself in that cage that he's never going to get back. And I just look at Jared, really hasn't had a lot of damage put on him. He's fast, he's strong now. He's a lot older, but he hasn't had the damage or wear that Kelvin has. And I just thought, being that he's fast, he's got good stand-up, he's got good wrestling as far as defensive wrestling, and he kicks hard. I just looked and I said, I think it's going to be too much for Kelvin in the end. And I think, Kelvin fought a really good fight. He got dropped with that one shot and bounced up like, that didn't hurt me. And you could see he was actually out for a second. Hits the ground, wakes up, he's fighting and throwing combinations back. And you go, Kelvin Gastelum is just a savage. He is a stone savage. There's something special about the guy, but he just didn't have enough to beat Jared on this night.
Yeah.
Close though.
Yeah, it looked like the power, just the strength also was a factor. The speed, obviously. For me, I feel like the speed in certain exchanges belonged to Cannonier, and some of it belonged to Kelvin.
At times.
Yeah, at times. So I thought it was a very well, evenly matched fight. Kelvin needed to get the takedowns a little bit more, and he wasn't able to do that.
Yeah.
So I thought Jared did a great job of getting wrist control, hand control, turning, spinning back into him, making sure he get his double unders or his over under. You know, start defending from there or make space and get away. He did a great job. He fought a very smart fight. For 37 years old, man, he's fucking aging like fine wine. That guy's he seems like he's getting better and better every fight, which is tough to do. At 37, man, I was like, all right, get me out of this shit. You know what I mean? You start thinking about that. He seems like he's just getting better and better, and his confidence getting more and more. So this was a big fight. I had Kelvin. Last week I had Kelvin winning. Then I heard he had problems on the scale. Then I was like, oh shit, here we go. Yeah. You know, so I mean, but his cardio wasn't affected. I thought he fought a good fight. He fought a good fight. He wasn't strong enough to get the takedown. And on the feet, they were about the same. Just Cannonier, I think, was a little bit faster and was able to hit him with a little more
faster.
power.
Yeah,
a little bit faster. Was able to hit him with a little bit more power.
But Kelvin was able to land some good shots.
Oh yeah, he did.
He really did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But overall, it was an evenly matched fight. Good fight though, and
a really good fight.
It
yeah,
was.
I enjoyed that fight. It was a good. I thought it was going to be a well contested fight off the beginning, and it lived up. You know, both of them put out a lot of effort, a lot of good technique throughout it, a lot of changing of what they. I really love the way that Jared Cannonier he effortlessly moves from southpaw to orthodox, back to southpaw, and within 2 seconds he's back to orthodox, then he's back to southpaw. It's like you would drive me fucking crazy.
That's funny. All right, well, hey, that wraps up our UFC talk. So let's get into some boxing real quick. We're going to talk 2 fights on this boxing card tonight. So you had what's it called? Ugis versus Manny Pacquiao. You were Dennis. Huh? All I heard was Ugis all night. So
Ugas.
Yeah, Ugis versus Pacquiao. So that fight was on there. And then obviously one of our local guys, my local guy, Robert Guerrero.
Local guys.
He was able to get a win over Ortiz, who is down south. He's in Costa Mesa, right? He's out there.
Well, he was in Ventura area, but he's now at Wild Card Gym. So.
He's at Wild Card now, right? Yeah. Freddie was in his corner, I believe.
Yep.
So that was overall good fight. Obviously they're older. They're getting a little bit older. So Robert Guerrero, he's from the Gilroy area here. I thought
Robert fought smart, because he was the one trying to crush the space and always, trying to fight in a phone booth because he's not as fast. You know, and when you train for that kind of fight, you're ready for it, you can do that. And if you're not ready for it, it's a wearing, taxing type of fight. I thought Ortiz responded well. It was very close back and forth, but I thought that Robert Guerrero was able to establish he was the one deciding where that fight was going to be fought for the most part. I didn't think it was so smart that Ortiz allowed that to happen. He should have kept range more often. He had more speed, so use your footwork, but it is what it is. He hasn't fought in a long time, and coming off of, I don't know what their whole time off between the two of them, but I would say that Ortiz has been gone for a good 2.5 years, maybe 3.
Yeah, Robert's been gone for a little over a year.
Yeah, so
yeah.
They both put 10 rounds. That was not easy.
No,
it was a grueling 10 rounds.
Easy. Yeah, it was a grueling 10 rounds. When you guys are standing toe to toe with each other, right, and just leaning on each other, it starts getting exhausting. Ripping the body shots, hitting little short uppercuts and left hooks. It gets exhausting because they're kind of leaning and pressing on you guys, and you got to carry your opponent's weight as well as carrying yours. So, I thought Robert had more of the output, but I feel like some of Victor's shots were landing harder. He just didn't have as much output because that's not the style he normally fights.
But he fought, Robert fights with a lot of output always.
Yes.
He just throws a lot of shots. But I think percentage-wise, Ortiz probably landed at a higher percentage, but didn't land as many as Guerrero did overall.
Might be true. So that fight happened, and then you got Manny Pacquiao versus Ugis. Good fight overall. I mean, Manny he's too small.
Manny got tired.
He got tired. He didn't start off using a lot of footwork like he used to when he was younger. Yep. But the other thing as well is that this weight class, he's too small for this weight class, I believe.
Yes.
That's the problem.
He's way too small. He has to try to get in with his footwork, which he's bouncing in and out, and he's slowing down.
Yeah, he is. A little bit, not much.
He's slowing down. You can see it. There's a big difference in just his hand speed, his foot speed. He's slowing down, and that comes with getting older. And it's this is when it's getting close. He's still fighting a top guy. Look, Ugas is good. So the real thing is Manny Pacquiao, he's slowing down, and so with that, it's going to change his ability to get in on guys, to get out and without getting hit. And I just thought overall, kind of looked like he was in that position. He's kind of going out anyways because he got tired. He never used to get tired. And so, I thought he lost the fight. I thought the judges got it right. I thought Ugas was the winner, and it was done the right way. So, good job by Ugas. Manny, you've done enough, man. Don't need to do it. I do not want to see him against Errol Spence. I don't either. It would not be, in my opinion, it's not going to be a competitive fight. Now, Errol can't fight for a while because he has detached retinas, so that's something he's going to have to take care of. But all good things come to an end. They do.
Yeah, I understand that. I wouldn't mind watching him fight someone like Robert Guerrero or somebody like Ortiz. Like someone more his size. That Ugas was big, man. He was tall. You could tell every time Manny got hit, it threw him off balance. And even when he covered, it still threw him off balance. He didn't have to hit him hard either. It was just clubbing him, and he was moving him around the ring. I think Ugas had no respect for his power. Once the speed started fading away, he realized he couldn't get hit, and the power wasn't there anymore. And then as he slowed down, he started seeing everything coming in. So, yeah, shitty situation, but look, Father Time's undefeated. We say it all the time. It's going to happen.
So overall, there was a lot of fights, a lot of things going on over the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And now I think we're done with this show because we've gone too long and I need sleep. You need sleep. And I'm going to go get some sleep because it's 4 o'clock in the morning where I'm at. I haven't slept since the day before the day. So,
yeah, look, we love to bring the news to you guys as fast as we possibly can, but we also, too, understand that sometimes the energy level needs to be at its max capacity. I think we have run out of energy, so what are we going to say, John?
We're going to say we're going to do news on our next show, and today we're going to say that's enough, and we will see ya.
Insalatissime Rio Mare. Le poți savura ca gustare, aperitiv, fel principal, garnitură, în parc cu prietenii, fiecare după.
the wrong target. That's the wrong target. That's an invalid target. Wrong target. An incorrect target is selected. You can't see your target. Move closer to your target. Move if your target is too far away. That's an invalid target. That's an invalid target. Move closer to your target. target does not exist. We can't attack that thing. closer to your target.
As General Shiba wills. Quickly! Such attacks are as nothing to me.
Wrong target.
A moldy and pitiful display. Thy persistence merits consideration. I shall redouble my effort. A moldy and pitiful display.
That's the wrong target. wrong target.
You have business with me?
Welcome.
What's happening? Not this week. Fucking be here. So don't be.
Check 1 2. Welcome to Uncle Joey's Joint.
What's happening, you bad motherfuckers? It's Monday, the 23rd of August. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you had a great fucking week last week. We did. I had a good fucking week last week. I had a couple breakthroughs, doctors, you know, the whole fucking thing. Now this week I will be out of town shooting a TV show. I'm fucking excited about that. I get a little insurance next year just in case I need new fucking glasses or new teeth or whatever the fuck it is. You got to work a certain amount of quarters to qualify for insurance. Supposedly they're not using residuals no more. It's a brain fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm just looking to work. I'm not getting rich. I'm just going to go work, see some people, say hello, and be fucking, you know, still be out there. What the fuck am I doing here? Just sitting around. These are the worst 2 weeks of August to be here. It's going to be humid. Nobody's around. People are fucking traveling. It's back to school time. You know, people are depressed. Fuck it. I'm going on a road trip. I'm going to eat some food. I'm going to smoke some reefer. And I'm going to enjoy my time with my fucking family. You know what I'm saying? I have a great time with them. This last week we went to see fucking Grease at the rec center. We left after 20 minutes. The sound sucked. So we got the fuck out of there. Plus the mosquitoes were eating us out. Friday we went to a fucking bonfire. Saturday we went to 2 parties. We went to a party. I got to tell you, it was great to see this guy. You know, it was, I went to 2 parties. First I had to go to Freehold. And then I had to go back up north to a different outdoor party and shit. It was raining. You know, we had to catch whatever we could. But I saw a guy that made me fucking laugh so hard. I thought back to 84, New Year's of 84. We're in a bar. We got a couple lines in us. We got a fucking Gorilla Biscuit in us. It's me, Stinky, my man Roger, God rest his soul, and Fernie. A bunch of us hanging out, but it was our unique clique. And this kid came in, his name was John. He looked a little fucking perturbed. It wasn't New Year's Eve yet. It was like probably 10:45. The bar was a little quiet still. This was a quiet bar. We were there for a fucking reason. This kid walks in. He's all fucking flabbergasted. He goes, listen, I don't know what to say. My father just got jumped down at this taxi place on fucking 32nd Street. It was close to my mother's bar, so I knew exactly what he was talking about. He goes, we got to go down there and fucking fuck them up. Now I got a couple cocktails in me. I got a Gorilla Biscuit. I got a fucking Coke. I got a couple lines in me. I'm in no mood to go in hand-to-hand combat with anybody. That's the worst time to get yourself involved in a fucking altercation. But my friends were like, let's go. You know, let's go down there and fucking help them out. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So we go down there. We get in the car. The kid gets in his car. And we all go down to Union City. We fucking park the car. And the taxi cab stand, it was a cab stand, like in Goodfellas. It's a big Goodfellas week. Fucking, it was a cab stand, and it had like sun shield on the fucking glass. So you really couldn't see in. You could see people standing there, but you really couldn't see in. So we pull up, we get out of the car, and the guy, John, he goes, listen, this is my dad. I just need you guys for backup. Let me go in there and do the cleanup first. And if things get dangerous, you guys come in. I said, all right, no problem. You know, I'm a little fucked up. I'm not even talking probably. I'm just making noises, you know, whatever the fuck I'm doing. So the kid has a bat with him. And we're like, what the fuck's this guy gonna do? He's got a bat with him. And he walks through the door. He opens the fucking door. You could actually see him walking in. He closes the door, and you could see him approaching like 3 or 4 guys that are in there. We're like, what the fuck's he doing? And all of a sudden you hear, you just hear a fucking, like you could fucking hear it, like a bang. And all of a sudden our buddy comes out of the taxi stand holding on to his head, and he's like fucking bleeding, not a lot, he's just bleeding a little bit, but you could see his little fucking discombobulated, and he's like, help, help. My friend goes to him, who hit you, Mickey Mantle? Because he was fucking bleeding from the head and shit. I reminded him of this on Saturday, and he just went fucking pale. He didn't like it too much. He didn't like the memory being brought up, but hey, when I said it to him, the joke just went flat. Like, I remember when you got hit in the head with the bat and Roger asked you, who hit you, Mickey Mantle? And he's like, I don't know. It fucking happened, cocksucker. But anyway, what I want to, just to open up a little something for you guys, just to get you going, just to see what I got to deal with on the fucking weekends. I got to see these people now and retrace the fucking, he's like, I don't remember. Anyway, fucking, the beauty of it is, I wanted to talk to you guys about something. Dad was looking at my daughter, and we're having a good time here. We really are. She's got new friends. She goes to kickboxing. She does all this shit. She had a great time in camp. Friday, she told me Thursday night at the fucking Grease movie, she goes, Dad, one of the counselors there, he really likes you in one of the movies or some shit. Can you come in and say hello to him? I go, absolutely. It's the last day of camp. I've been to the camp before. I just never went in there because I didn't want them to go, oh, that's her dad, whatever. She's having a great summer on her own. She won a fucking another medal on Friday for some athletic award. She's having all that shit on her own. I didn't want to go in there and them go, oh, that's Uncle Joey's daughter. I didn't want that. So I didn't go in there. I just wanted to see what she would do on her own merit. And she did fucking great. Pictures. They had a fucking carnival last week. This was a hell of a fucking camp. Big pool, a couple fucking pools, field houses. They don't have to bring lunch. My wife didn't have to make lunch all summer. She was ecstatic about that. They had ice cream bars. It's all about the fucking kids here. And that wasn't even the really good camp. That was like a median camp. Frog's Neck is like where they fucking smoke cigarettes and they have tea parties and shit and crumpets. It's fucking amazing. You could go from a basic camp here where it's just them playing on concrete to like camps with raps and they take them helicopter rides. I didn't want to do all that. I just wanted her swimming and doing athletics. They play every game there in the world. Every fucking day, wiffle ball, basketball. She learned how to throw a football. We were outside throwing a fucking football. It's a great little fucking camp. So I go in, and I know my daughter. I'm like, she's going to be fucking, she's so emotional. She fucking fell in love with one of the counselors or whatever. I know my daughter. I just know her. So, yes, Friday at 4, my wife goes, I'm going to pick her up. Are you coming? I go, absolutely. In fact, I went in the shower and got all duded up. That's the type of motherfucker I am. When I came out of the shower, I was yelling for my wife, and she's not answering. I'm like, she fucking left without me. And I came out, she was on the couch. We went down there. Fucking beautiful camp, trees everywhere. I didn't say anything to anybody. When you walk in, you got to put your mask on. So I guess people couldn't tell, whatever. So I walked in, and I went over to where we have to get her. And sure enough, she was one of the girl counselors. The girl counselor was crying. Mercy was crying. It was fucking tremendous. Mercy's like, I don't want to go, blah, blah, blah. Then we had to get the girl's number. We're going to use her as a babysitter. But as we were walking out, the guy that runs the camp goes, Uncle Joey. And I look at him. He goes, how you doing? My name is John. I run the camp. Your daughter was great this summer. We didn't know till this week that she was your daughter. We started laughing our asses off. Great fucking people, And she was a little upset. We went and got her a little slice of pizza at motherfucking Carlos. And then we went to the fucking bonfire thing. But I was looking at her, and I'm like, wow. She's a way different kid than I was at that age. At 8, I already knew about fucking blowjobs and fucking people getting stabbed. I saw my stepfather shoot a guy at fucking a Santeria party. My daughter doesn't have any of that. I mean, And that's how I like it. You know, the other day some guy hit me up, you know, Joey, we're not saying that we don't like what you're doing, but, you know, you should fucking smoke during the album of the week and just so we could smoke with you. Listen, guys, listen. I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. My daughter lives in this house. I didn't get a studio because of what's going on in the world right now. In time, we'll get one. But for right now, I can't smoke in this house. This is her house, and I can't disrespect her. And if you need to watch a podcast or you need to see an album of the week on Patreon with me smoking because you feel like we're smoking together, I think it's time for you to put a white jacket on and go get some fucking help. Do you think when I look at Snoop Dogg smoking, I'm like, oh, I'm smoking with Snoop Dogg? That's a problem, guy. That's a craziness type shit. That's never gonna fucking happen. Get it together. I got 1,000 videos on fucking YouTube of me smoking. That was the past. This is the fucking present. So, and this is why I do it, because I don't want her to ever come to me and go, what's that smell? I've smelt that before in the house. This is her house. So I got to give it to her. You know what I'm saying? I live here. That's it. But it's her fucking house. I live here and I pay the bills, but it's her fucking house. So you got to understand where the fuck I'm coming from. So I'm looking at her the other day and I'm like, what is she, you know, I mean, she's great. I'm really happy that she didn't have to go through what I went through as a kid. I'm really happy. Like, I got friends that call me, hey, we want to invite you to this restaurant. Fuck you. There's no kids there, and there's alcohol. I don't want to see my daughter drinking, fucking people drinking fucking alcohol, acting like jerk-offs. That's not what I want to do, because that's what I did as a child. I was in a fucking bar looking at, and they were irritating the fuck out of me back then when I was a fucking 10, so you can't imagine what they do now. I don't want to be in a fucking bar. I haven't wanted to be in a bar since 1984, So I was looking at her, I'm like, you know what's crazy about her? She doesn't have the fear that I had. I had fear when I was a kid. I wasn't a tough, strong kid when I was her age. I had fear ever since the time I left from New York City. The other day on Instagram, I posted a picture of my mother's house. It was for sale in 2018, and I was in the neighborhood. I went to bring flowers at the cemetery, and I went by the house like I always do to check on it, and it was for sale. I took a picture of the fucking thing to send it to my wife, and then me and my wife were talking when I got back to California. She's like, do you want to buy it? I'm like, they want $365 for it, and you're going to have to sink $200,000 or $300,000 in there just to modernize it, just so the house could be in 2021. The house is still 1968, you know, if you've seen it. So we just said, no, I don't want to live there. But I thought about it afterward. Let me tell you something. From the age of 10 to the age of 16, I was never settled in that house. I don't know if you've ever lived in a house that you won't settle in. All I remember is waking up one day on, you know, fucking Riverside Drive and 89th Street overlooking the Hudson River. That's where I first remember living. And then after about 6 months, the apartment got raided one day for numbers, and my mother thought the apartment was spooked, so we moved to 205 West 88th Street. And I lived at 205 West 88th Street since I was 5 till I was 10 years old with no fucking problems at all. I loved living there. I watched fucking scary movies that never affected me. I watched The Exorcist at 10, never affected me. I think I slept with the lights on for a few weeks, but it never really, I could deal with all that shit. When I moved to 3515 Gibbonade Terrace, something happened to me. As soon as I walked in that fucking house, something did not feel right. I usually base my life on energies. If I don't feel right doing something, I won't do it again. And it all started with that fucking house. That house had a creepy fucking effect to it. We moved in that house in May of 73, probably 2 or 3 weeks after I beat up Sister Hyacinth at Sacred Heart School for Boys. It was probably right around that time that my mom got the house in Jersey, and that's when we decided we're not going to go to that school no more. I had chicken pox that week. The Mets were playing the fucking the Cincinnati Reds. I actually went to the Met game with the fucking chicken pox. I just put makeup over my fucking little pimples on my head, and I went to the game. I saw fucking Pete Rose beat up Bud Harrelson. I went to 2 games. It was 2 home games. But I still remember moving to that house. I didn't like it. I didn't like the kids outside. I didn't like the house. I didn't like the fucking yard. It was an above the ground pool I wasn't crazy about. But that wasn't I wasn't crazy about of that house. The energy inside the house was not fucking me at all. You know, at first when we moved in, you know, you have the yard. You don't have a yard living in New York. So, you know, the attraction was the yard. You know, I would go out to the yard and jump in the fucking pool. It was summertime when we moved in. It was like April, May. So shortly after the pool opened, we could swim and shit. You know, I put up a basketball court, but the ground back there was pavers. It was like 18-inch pavers. So they weren't connected. So when you dribble the ball would fucking go everywhere else because it wasn't the ground. It was pavers. But again, that's not the reason what made me. The first probably 8 weeks was great in that house. And there was 1-2 bedrooms with a closet room and a bathroom on the second floor. And then there was a third floor attic that was refinished, and it was beautiful. It was cool as fuck. They had like paintings on the wall, like a big brush went around the fucking wall, and they crisscrossed. I think the room was yellow. They had a great window, fucking strong as fuck air conditioner. The closet was a walk-in closet in the attic. And over on the side, there was like a stand for shoes. Well, I took that apart and shit. I lifted the fucking thing, I busted it all, and I discovered like a little hiding space. I used to actually go in there as a little kid, put the cover, and make believe like that war was ending. And I was downstairs in the basement drinking like Tang and shit. I swear to fucking God, when you're a single child, you have a tremendous imagination. So I would go in there, the whole thing. It was great. It was a little paradise up in my fucking attic. But shortly after I moved in there, I started hearing shit. I just started hearing shit. You know, something wasn't right about that fucking house. And I still remember being like Mercy's age. And one night, before I went to, this was after I was already like I had gone to Catholic school.
You have business with me?
For 3rd grade. It's a Sacred Heart School for boys. And that was a boarding school where you went to all fucking week, and then you came back Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I'll never forget, one of my first weekends at boarding school, I came home. You know, everything was great. Went to the bar. Probably went to a movie. My mom brought me home at 3 with my stepdad. We sat downstairs and bullshitted for a while. I went up to the fucking attic, and my parents went to bed. My mom went to bed. And some point in the night, I can't tell you what I felt. I felt like somebody had grabbed my leg or had pulled on my leg. It was the weirdest fucking feeling. I know, Joey, you're fucking crazy. I'll tell you what I felt. You know, I felt something, and when I turned to see what it was, I kind of was alarmed, and I made like a noise, like, ah, like something like that. And I just saw something and heard something. And here's the crazy thing, that after it went down, my mother and stepfather came out of their room to ask, what just happened? We heard something really weird. I go, I don't know. I was half fucking asleep, and I felt something grab my fucking leg. And when I turned, I was startled. I made like a noise. They heard the noise, but they also heard the stairs, like something was wrong with the stairs, like somebody had gone down the stairs. So they're like, what the fuck was that? You know, and I'm like, I don't know. But whatever the fuck it is, I'm not staying up here no more. And they're like, you got to stay up there. That's the night that Juan gave me his gun with a silencer. And he goes, sleep with this, and if you see a ghost, just shoot it. And I'm like, okay. Like, I was like, okay. I'm like, there was no fuck. I don't know what it, guys, I don't know what it was. But there was an energy in that house that just didn't fucking feel right. And I went away to Catholic school. I came back on the weekends. You know, I would stay there. I would stay at my godmother's house. I would always stay at different places on the weekends.
Easy teleport, David?
So I didn't have to deal with whatever was in that house
guide
anymore.
your path.
Until I got thrown out of Catholic school. Then I had to deal with whatever was in that fucking house. Once I got thrown out of Catholic school, I went back. I signed up at McKinley. The Balzanos fucking Carmine beat up Bernie Robinson's father. Once I was in the neighborhood, I was very happy. But something happened right in the beginning of the 6th grade. Again, by this time I transferred all my clothes and everything. As I was getting older, when I got back from Catholic school, I took the room next to my mother's. I felt a little safer. I said, whatever happened in the 3rd grade happened, you know, whatever. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I had 1, 2 fucking many blueberry brandies at the bar because I would sneak them when I was like 8 or 9. Who the fuck knows? You know, I'm not here to fucking say that there's a ghost or whatever, but we'll give it another try. We'll give it another fucking try. I'm a little bigger now. I can handle myself now. I'm a little stronger. You know, I just beat the fuck out of a nun. I'm ready to take over the fucking world here. So we transferred into McKinley. I think I was in McKinley, I think a month elapsed. In those days, I would play whatever the fuck I was doing from 3 to 6, 3 to 7. And then about 7, I'd go up to my mom's bar. I'd go to the New Moon Chinese restaurant on 29th and Bergen Line. I'd eat dinner, whatever the fuck, or Cuban food or a sandwich from Hernandez. And then I would walk home. I would walk down the hill and go to Gibbonette Terrace, and I'd go home. My mother would stay at the bar. My stepfather would stay at the bar. And I'd basically be alone till 3 in the fucking morning. No big deal. I was 11. I was a big boy. I could fucking handle it. I think after a month, every time I would fucking turn the lights off in my room and turn the TV off, I would hear this bullshit on the fucking stairs. People coming up. It was an old house. I mean, it wasn't that old of a house. If it was 1973 when we moved in, I think the house got built in 53, 54 or something like that, after the orphanage fire on Gibbonette Terrace. So I really don't know how old it was, but man, at night, once I'd put my fucking pillow down, I'd put my head on my pillow, it was like there was a fucking party in my house. I would hear people going up and down the stairs, shit coming from the attic. I would have to call my mother. I think one night I called the fucking cops. The cops came, and after about a week of that shit, I was like, fuck this. I'm not living here no more. So I started in the 6th grade. I moved out of my house. I don't know if you guys even heard this fucking story. In the 6th grade, I pretty basically moved out of my house, and I had 2 different places I'd stay at. I'd stay at 26th and Central at my friend Eva's house. My buddy Jose Torres, his mother, had a house on 26th and Central, 2614 Central Avenue, and I'd stay there. There was his sister lived there, Lucy. His sister Ellie lived there. Me and Lucy would tight. In the mornings, I'd wake up and go get a fucking bag of Zeppelis. I'd go get a stick of fucking Italian bread and a whole stick of Hotel Bar butter and a 32-ounce Coca-Cola, and I'd bring it back over there, and me and Lucy would eat the fucking whole bag of fucking bread, and I'd eat the Zeppelis on the way to McKinley. I had a fucking system, Jack. I was on fire up there in Union City, and I loved it. I would only go home after school to get clothes for the next day, and I would go to karate, do my whole life, go to my mom's bar, but I would end up on 26th Street, or I would stay on 22nd and Central by my friend, my cousin, Julio Rodriguez. He owns Anaconda Jiu-Jitsu in North Bergen and West New York. If you're looking for a jiu-jitsu school, I might as well give him a plug. He's a good dude. He's a great fucking teacher. He's a Higan Machado black belt, but I'd stay with him and his mom, Awilda, and his brother Guillo, fucking, you know, so I would walk to North Bergen from 22nd Street. I did not like that fucking house at all. My mom would beg me to come back. I would still see my mom, and I'd still see my stepfather. It was still part of their life. But when it came to sleep, I just would not fucking go down there. It took me, I didn't move back into 3515 till maybe middle of 7th grade, the year I got left back. So I moved out of my fucking house basically for a year and a fucking half. And then I got a girlfriend in North Bergen, and it's tough to tell your girlfriend that you're scared of sleeping in your fucking house when you're in the 7th grade because you look like a pussy. So I started living there again. Sometimes during the week I would sleep out in Chucky McBreen's house or something, you know, or one of my other friends' house, Whitey's house, or Mario Diaz's house, or Anthony Balzano's house. If things got too dangerous at night, I would fucking, little by little, it was like I was, just working myself back into the fucking house. But I always thought that house and that neighborhood were fucking creepy as fuck. And if I go down there now, I spoke about it a couple weeks ago on here, when you go down there now, just the neighborhood is dead. And it bothered me for years. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on there. I used to put a glass of water. I used to put earplugs in at night so I wouldn't hear the fucking haunting, as I called it. It was just a fucking haunting. Oh, yeah, it was going on, but not... I think I was sleeping heavier, and I wasn't really dealing with it. I would put earplugs on, so I went back the year I got left back. Once I started giving my mom a problem at school, like there was the teacher called her in one time, so she was like, enough with sleeping out. You got to start sleeping back in your house. What did I pay for this fucking house for? And I was petrified of that fucking house. So many weird fucking things happen in that house. Like, I think the weirdest thing that I ever saw was the night the chick knocked on my door, beat up. Like, that's never happened in my life again. I've been in fucking horrible situations and horrible places, but at the age of 12, for a woman who's barely fucking had clothes on, her husband ripped her clothes off, and she had blood coming from everywhere, knocked on the door, that's just a spooky fucking thing. Like, it took me a while. Like, I'm like, this fucking neighborhood never stops. This chick just knocked on my fucking door, bleeding, and as we opened the door, we had to rush her in, and her husband was running up the block with a fucking knife, and my stepdad had to get a fucking gun to wave the guy down. This is my life in fucking the 7th grade. It was fucking crazy. And then my mother ended up letting some friend of hers, Tati, he was a great friend. I loved him with all my heart. Do some Santeria shit in there, and the house really went to shit. Then my mother and stepfather broke up. My mother hit him in the head with a fucking saint, like a statue of the Virgin Mary. Just hit him in the head when he was sleeping. He got up. There was blood everywhere. I mean, the things that happened in that fucking house. Another night, I was a sophomore in high school, maybe 2 weeks before my mother died. We almost lit that house on fire one night. I mean, there was almost a fucking battle in that house. We were in the fucking house. My mother was in Florida selling her property down there. She had this property on MIA, on Miami International Airport. I don't even know what happened with that shit. But anyway, we were having, I said, my mom's gone. I'm starting to get popular. Let me have a fucking party at my fucking house. So I got like a keg, we did the right thing. I had a downstairs, I had a garage, I had a sub-basement, I had a garage, and I had the living room. I could have everybody up there. My living room was a little creepy because I had the 6-foot saint in the living room of St. Lazaro, and I had, it was just a fucking creepy living room, but I could contain them in the garage and downstairs in the basement. These girls fucking showed up, and there's one girl in particular was a little fucking loose, you know what I'm talking about, and we're fucking sophomores, and this girl's a senior, and my one buddy, who I was telling you about a couple of weeks ago, Louie, had a thing going with that girl. She was like a senior, so we were sophomores. I knew Louie since the 7th grade at McKinley. He was my boy. I was telling you this story a couple of weeks ago. So Louie takes the girl upstairs to my attic, and my other friend, Steve, has got a girl in my bedroom. I don't give a fuck. As long as I don't go in my mom's bedroom, I locked my mom's door. I'm sitting downstairs in the kitchen talking with this kid, Chris, that we used to call the Red Devil, and these other guys, Eggs, and all these other guys. And we're just having a conversation. Nobody else knew, beside Chris, that my man Louie was upstairs with the girl, and my other man, Steve, was upstairs with a different girl. Nobody fucking knew. Me and Chris knew. We're sitting down. It's probably 12:30 at night. The party cleared out. We're just talking shit. I don't even think we're high. And all of a sudden I hear somebody coming up the garage stairs. And this is Kid Eddie with another kid and 2 other fucking gorillas. And the Kid Eddie, his girlfriend, was the chick upstairs with Louie. And you could start, the other guy, it was a great built house. It was a fucking solid fucking house. I used to jump off. There was 2 sets of stairs. I used to jump off the fucking stairs down to the floor. That fucking floor stayed tip-top magoo the way it was forever. I had been jumping off that fucking thing since I was 10. My mother would tell me, stop, one day you're gonna go through the fucking floor. I didn't give a fuck. I would jump off there, jump off there, jump off there. So we're sitting in the kitchen. It was a dining area. There was a dining area, then there was a living room, and then there was like fucking TV and all this shit. Big downstairs. We're just sitting there talking shit, and the saint is right here. San Lazaro Saint is right here. He's 6'5". He's got crutches and shit, real crutches. So one thing leads to another, and Eddie and his buddies come up, and they're like, we're looking for this girl. And we're like, I have no idea where the fuck she's at, you know. She was here earlier, but she left, you know. And he goes, no. She's here, you know. She's got to be here. We're like, dog, we're the only ones here. You hear anybody fucking else? And the kid's like, well, then you won't mind me looking around. And I go, that's not going to happen. This is my mother's house. And that's not going to fucking happen. And the kid's like, yeah, it is going to fucking happen. And as he started walking towards me, Chris was a fucking animal. This kid was a fucking street urchin. He fucking took one of the crutches from St. Lazaro, like a fucking 5-foot crutch, and he goes, if you take another step, I'm gonna break this over your fucking head. I'm like, holy shit, this is gonna go down in my living room, because he had 3 gorillas with him. And he goes, if you go past this, I'm gonna break this over your head. And then I got up and took the other fucking cast. And I go, looks like you're gonna get hit in the head twice. And every other guy that was in that kitchen with me that night, I forget their names. I'll tell you what, we were gonna take these motherfuckers down right in that thing. This was gonna turn into Goodfellas when they're kicking poor fucking Bobby Bats and all that shit. This is what this is gonna turn into. This was not good. And now I start to hear the bed upstairs. The whacka, 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 whacka. And everybody's like looking around, and we're like, like making noises and shit. And we're like, you're not gonna fucking pass this, so we're gonna hit you in the fucking head with the fucking crutch. The kid sat there, he's like, I don't know what the fuck. He goes, you guys are tough guys tonight. What if we came down here with more people? Then we'll make a fucking call, and we'll get more fucking people. You're not coming in my house. Listen to what you're saying. You're saying that you want to walk in my house and search it. You know, who the fuck are you? You know, and now I was a little scared of this guy, Eddie, and his fucking friends. But at that point, I wasn't scared anymore. Who the fuck are you? Know, once you're right, you're right. Who the fuck are you to come in my fucking house? Get the fuck out of here. We just told him, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out or we'll break your fucking head. And Chris led the fucking charge. Till this day, I still love him. I don't know where he is. I see him on Facebook. My friend, he was a redheaded kid, so my friend used to call him the Red Devil. So they left, and we were like, woo, that was a fucking close one. You know, Monday, we had to deal with shit. I think the kid said something to me at school Monday that he was keeping my eye on me, but we never even discussed it again. It moved on, but that was how crazy that fucking house was. And then, after my stepdad left the fucking house, the house just had this feeling that, even when my stepdad lived in it, have you ever listened to the end of Pink Floyd, Dogs, when he goes, you're a stranger at home, you know, and all that shit? That's what I felt like. After 1978, right before I graduated high school, we didn't really have a home. It was just 3 people living together. As much as I love my mom and my mom loved me, I don't want you to get me wrong. We loved each other, but we were 3 people that were living, doing our own thing. And we weren't even eating dinner. I was eating dinner at the fucking bar. So once my stepfather left and my mom let Dottie do the fucking thing there, our house really went to shit. You know, our house went to fucking shit. My mom was gambling. The house was just a bad luck house. You ever have that where you just like, this is, I don't know. The house just wasn't one of my favorites. You know, when I moved into this house, I'm like, ugh, this has the spirit that house had. No, it doesn't. Not even fucking close. That house was just dark. It was dark even when you had the lights on. Is that a good way of explaining it to you? Like when I think back to going in and out of that house, I see it in black and white. Like I see the rest of my life in color, but I see that in black and white. That's why I didn't fucking like that fucking place. And the kill, like I always knew something wasn't right. Like I always knew something wasn't right. I didn't know that house wasn't gonna end the right way. Like I would love to tell you I knew, but I just knew that house was just not right. And there were two things that finally cemented that fucking house wasn't right. The night I came around the corner and found my mother on the fucking floor with bruises on her arm, and she was dead as disco. And I mean, you know, when you find somebody dead in a house, in that house, the for sale sign goes up the next day. There's no reason to stay there. There's no reason. There was a death in that house. You know, it's like the judge that got shot, her husband and kid got shot in East Brunswick last year. You know, they sold the house. You can't live in a house with death in it. You know, pick up the floor, take all the blood out of the fucking house, you know, redo it so there's no blood in the house. Not like you're wiping up the floor with blood. You're not leaving blood on the floor. You're taking up the wood, you're taking up everything, and then redo a new fucking house. My friend, his sister-in-law killed herself in the house on Christmas Day. That fucking house was for sale New Year's Day. I mean, you just don't stay there. Once I found my mother on the floor, it was confirmed to me that I didn't have a solid fucking house. But this is where it gets even weirder for you. Are you ready for this? My mother fucking dies. We take it to the funeral parlor, you know, the whole thing. We're about to do the week of the wake and shit. We're all at the house eating dinner, whatever we're eating, like a snack after we identified the body or whatever. I don't know particular what day this came, but it did happen. We were all sitting in the living room. My mother was dead, and I was feeling fucking jaded. I was confirmed that this house where I lived at was fucking spooked. I just found my mother on the floor, and there's a knock on the fucking door. They all look at me, you gonna answer? Yeah, I guess I'm gonna fucking answer it. So I go over to the door, I answer, and it's this nice white couple. And she's like, oh, how you doing? We didn't mean to bother you. Were you guys doing something? I go, no, what's going on? And I never saw this woman before. I never saw this man before. And they just started telling me that they lived in the neighborhood, and that the people who lived, they wanted to see who moved into the house, because they knew the people who lived there previously, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, looking at her like, I'm not, you know, I don't know what this lady's talking about. And she's like, we used to live on the block, and we became friends with the people who lived here, and you've done such a nice job with the house, the front of the house. You know, my mom fixed it when we got in. She put the bushes in and all this shit, and she go, you know, the lady's like, whoever lives here did a great job with the house. We love the windows. Oh my God. We knew the previous owner, rest his soul. And I'm like, rest his soul? What are you fucking talking about? And the lady goes, you didn't know? I go, I don't know anything. I'm just a fucking 16-year-old kid. What do I know? And she goes, well, we lived here from the 60s, and the owner here was a nice guy, and he had a nice family. But one day they found him in the garage. He fucking killed himself. And it was like fucking, like the Twilight Zone. I was like, I fucking knew it. I knew this fucking house was fucking haunted. And the lady's like, yeah, he killed himself in the garage. He didn't hang himself. He closed the garage door and left the exhaust on, and, you know, that's how he fucking died. And I'm like, holy shit. We talked for a little while, and then she went off the porch, and all my beliefs have been confirmed. I knew there was something weird in that fucking house. You know, I hate to say it was a haunted house, but there was something beside me in that fucking house, and it was not happy. It wasn't a happy house. Like when I walk in here, I'm smiling and shit. That house didn't bring the happiness out of you. It brought, I don't know, it brought like this fucking confusion over my life. That's what it did. And ever since I moved out of that house, I've never, ever, ever experienced that again or feel like in that way. Like I would take showers with the door open. You know, it got to me. The fear, the real fear, like there was something dark in that house. And that day it was, you know, I was happy that I knew it. My mother didn't. She didn't believe me. This house can't be fucking haunted. I'm like, listen, man. And I saw something when I was a kid one time. When I was a kid, like 4, in Manhattan, we lived on, when we lived on Riverside Drive, the hallway of the kitchen, like if you look out the kitchen, you know, it was, you could see a window over there, a window over there, and a window over there, and, you know, whatever. One night, anyway, you're going to think I'm crazy. I was not getting high when I was 4 years old. So I don't want you to go, Joey, you were fucking high. But one night I heard like a guy in the hallway outside the kitchen. I remember looking out and seeing like a shadow and telling my mom. My mom was like, they couldn't have been. It was impossible, but I saw something. And I remember my mom looking at me weird and looking out the window and going, yeah, maybe you did fucking, you know, I don't know for sure. I don't know how I felt back then, but I remember that I felt something sort of like I felt when I moved into 3515 Givenard Terrace. And then to make it all fucking come together, and I could invite you guys to look it up too, if you know, I told you to look up the Superman of Cuba, and it's a long read. In that same vein, there's an article, if you Google it, on the Givenard Terrace Mysteries. It's called something like that. Givenard Terrace, Lower North Bergen. You could find it if you Google it. I'm going to try to Google it today and put it up on Twitter and Patreon, whatever for you guys. And it's an article about that area down there. That there was an orphanage on Givenard Terrace. She was called Mary Givenard. That was her fucking name. She had the orphanage, and there was a fire one night, and all those kids were killed. In fact, if you went up the woods on Givenard Terrace, you still saw the foundation of the orphanage, and the wall was black from the fucking fire. Just look up Givenard Orphanage fire, and it'll give you all, I mean, it's like 30, 40-minute read about that area and how haunted it fucking is. I'm telling you guys, that fucking area is haunted. I sit here, I stand here, and I tell you that I've never felt that ooky or creepy before in my life. That whole area down there, from walking past that cemetery, I'll tell you 2 stories, then we'll wrap it up. They say that there have been witnesses, and I heard that when I lived down there, that there was a lady that would walk on Union Turnpike or Liberty Avenue. They said a lot of people saw dressed like with lace and walking with a candle. Did I see her? No, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be in Guatemala fucking hiding if I saw like a lady walking. They say you see her like fucking gliding. And if you read the article, you'll go, Joey, okay, it's not you. There's like 20 eyewitnesses that have seen that lady walking around, and they say that it's Mary Givenard that's walking around. But then it takes you back to 1930 or something. This is the spookiest fucking story ever. That cemetery where my mother's buried, it's called the Weehawken Cemetery. It's been there since Jesus left Chicago. It's been there for a long fucking time. I told you, not that cemetery, but there's another cemetery that blends into Weehawken that I took a shit in the night that Freddie Prinze that died, that I never forget. When I was shitting on it, the only reason why I shit on the body, you know me, I'm a fucking Catholic and I respect spirits, but that motherfucker died like in 1830. There was nothing left in that box. It was, in fact, his tombstone was like bent over and it was rugged looking, and all the tombstones in the area were like crosses, that the fucking cross had been taken down, like there was just a stick. It was 150 years old at the fucking time. But That cemetery has been there for such a long time. In that same Mary Giving Out article, you'll read a story about across the street from that fucking cemetery, there was a row of houses. There still is. And one night, rocks started coming out of that cemetery and breaking all the windows on that hill going down. So the neighbors came out to see what the fuck was going on, and they were getting hit with rocks and shit. So they all called the police, and the police fucking circled the cemetery. Circled it like a police fucking thing, because I think it was after 3 nights they kept throwing rocks. They circled the cemetery and they went through that cemetery inch by inch, and they never found the fucking thing. That was the same cemetery I did jump the fence and tried to fucking unbury my mom New Year's Eve, 79, but that's a different podcast. We'll get to that some other time. But it all has it on there. So if you look up Mary Givenard Terrace Orphanage, if you Google it, you'll come upon that article and you'll read it and you'll see that the shit I'm telling you is not fucking bullshit. I felt it in my fucking soul. It was a creepy fucking feeling, and I never want to feel it again. And that's what my daughter will never fucking have, that creepy, scary feeling. I never got there anywhere else. I never got it at my mother's bar. I never got it at other people's homes. I just got it when I walked in that fucking house. When I walked on that block, it felt weird. And over the years, I've heard other things that have come out on that, Charles Court. It was just, the orphanage was on both streets. So, and there's people that lived in the last house. I have a friend that's named Grace. She lives in Tunkerton, New Jersey. Her house is on the top of Givenard Terrace. And her mother lived there and her grandmother lived there. And she told me once, after my mother died, we were talking about this same story, and she said that the people that owned her house said that for years after the fire at the orphanage, that at night they would hear kids yelling from back there. Like kids that were 8, 9, 7 yelling from the orphanage. So that shit ran through the neighborhood for fucking years, I wanted to tell you this story because I put the picture up on Instagram, my mother's house, and a lot of people wondered why I had put it up. I had put it up to tell you this story. So if you go to my Instagram, Matt Flavors World, you could see the house. It doesn't look haunted. It just looks like a regular house. But when I look at it now, it looks like a fucking house that's spooky. And the thing that scares me the most about this fucking house is that I called it. I just did not know that it was going to scare them. It's funny because the people who bought the house, there used to be a bathroom window next to the door. So if you rang the doorbell, my mom could look out the bathroom window. And if it was Jehovah's Witnesses, she would get hot water and lower the upper window and throw hot water to Jehovah's Witnesses. But they put bricks up on that window. Obviously, whoever bought the house put bricks up. They fucked up the bushes that my mother put in there. The bushes that are missing, if you go to Instagram and look, the bushes that are missing were the bushes where Juan used to hide his gun and his fucking knife outside. That's my podcast for today. That's Uncle Joey's Joint. I just wanted to get that story out of the way because I put up the house. I put the house up. I put a picture of my cat up, and I put a picture, 2 slices of Roma pizza, and the house got like 1,000 fucking comments. And I'm like, what the fuck? And everybody wants me to buy the house, turn it into a dispensary. Let me tell you something. I thought about buying that house, and I was like, there's no way this is happening. I thought about it for like a day. I'm like, I could live in North Bergen. I could fucking get that house. It could be modern as fuck. But I said, no, because whatever lives in the house, I guarantee it's still fucking there. And that's my podcast for the week. That's Uncle Joey's Joint. I hope you enjoyed this little Monday morning, little fucking positive story about haunted homes. And that's it. Laughing Gas is still in fucking stock. It's back in stock last week. It's selling off the fucking shelves. Get there, the big launch comes, and what Joe told me was, this batch they got on Friday, is better than the original fucking batch they had last month. It's gonna get stronger and stronger. So if you're in the California area, stop by motherfucking ice cream shop and pick up Laughing Gas or any other one of the Zeke fucking products that tickles your fucking fancy. I got no dates. I got nothing coming up except The Sopranos on October 1st. Every day we're getting closer to the release of this movie. I'm watching the episodes with my wife, as many as we can. At night, we try to watch one a night. We're on season 3. It is what it is. I love you motherfuckers with all my heart. I'll be out of town this week taping. Stay black, and I'll be back next Monday, the 30th of motherfucking August. No, we'll be back Wednesday. What are we fucking talking about? And we got a guest for you too, cocksuckers. Stay black, and now for a word from my motherfucking sponsors. All right, I want to thank you guys for watching the show today. I hope you got entertained by my spooky fucking story. I've been dying to tell you this story for a few weeks now that I put the picture up.
Alege prosoape de baie Tex Bio la 18,74 lei și fără să-ți dai seama, ai făcut un bine și ție și mediului.
Așa, împreună, foarte bine. Vreau niște mișcări electrizante, zâmbet mult, vreau căldură și energie și acum...
This, we know this already.
I think it's a mental warfare because you got to recognize how much experience I have. I got to keep reminding myself he's a child, that, he's doing things that somebody his age should be doing.
I think with every fight, my confidence grows and grows and grows. Beating Ben Askren, I was just like, damn, I can really punch someone.
Jake is nervous about this fight. He's nervous in the face-offs. He's saying, I see fear in you. You haven't had enough face-offs to see fear. I've looked at somebody and I've seen fear, and I knew it was going to be over with in the first round. You can't say in 2.5 fights that you've done that.
I'm naturally talented, gifted, naturally athletic, naturally powerful. I'm also just a really fucking hard worker, and I show up every single day, do every single thing right. That's what has made me a real sharp fighter. If we have to go 8 hard rounds, I'm ready.
Reveille, donks.
Look at us now, tip to tip. This is our life. This is our passion. That's the spirit we bring to this show.
I'm Luke Thomas.
I'm Brian Campbell.
This is Morning Combat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Captain, my Captain, indeed. The name is Nuwanda. We're back, baby. It is MK, Morning Combat Monday, August 23rd, 2021. I am the BBE with that BDC or a couple letter combinations mixed up there. I'm beige. They call me Brian Campbell, CBS Sports and Showtime. We don't need no stinking co-host, okay? We are that co-host. Luke Thomas still for the final day on vacation. Got 2 weeks in 2021, but did see some of the picks. Much love to him and the family. He'll be back this week. Look, it's a big week in the life of combat sports, in the life of Morning Combat. Luke Thomas, your boy BC, hitting the ground running on Wednesday, Cleveland, Ohio, for all things Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley. Of course, the pay-per-view goes down Sunday night, this Sunday, August 29th, Showtime pay-per-view. You're not going to want to miss that, and we will be hot and heavy in your face this week, hosting a numerous amount of streaming events, live interview shows, live MK, room service diaries. Heck, we may F around and post the best damn documentary we've done in this documentary series so far. Shout out to Less Than Jake, our documentarian. So should be a fun week. We got some fun fightage from over the weekend also to look back upon. Please like and subscribe this video. I know some of you don't like when we grovel for subscriptions to get up to that 100,000 base. Look, it's it's cool. Like I tell you, I'm in it for the art of this thing. I don't care if we get another subscription, but a lot of people that work on the show do, and that work above us. So let's keep that train moving. You can listen to other podcasts. That's fine, but who do you love? That's the question, right? If you love us, help us win these awards too. I believe you can go to worldmmaawards.com/something. And you can vote for Morning Combat for best MMA programming /nominees. Thank you, Gav, for this calendar year. It'd be an interesting event if your boys crashed the party, right? No sleeves, right? California Penal League style to this red carpet affair. tipped Canada upside down and stood on that mountain. Look, it's in play. It's a possibility, right? We underdogs. Yeah, I've been an underdog my whole life, and I'm still hosting this show solo right now. Who would have thought, right? And you know, you could say, why did you do this, BC? Luke's not even here. Kind of just barely putting the ragtag skull and bag of bones out there onto the field. We could have mailed it in. There was a hurricane that turned into a tropical storm, thankfully, in the past 24 hours. Luckily in CT here, we didn't lose power. We're doing good. Shout out to my fellow New Englanders, though, with trees through the house and some legitimate bad issues. But it turned out well, so why not? Why not do a show, okay? Why not give you what you need, what you came here to get, okay? You know, the EuroAion and company back in your life with the MMA Hour. Great show, by the way. But, you know, I don't want to be back in your life, right? I want to be your life. Remember that great Lemonhead song off the It's a Shame About Ray album? You know, I just want a bit part in your life. No, I want the whole damn thing, okay? You can listen to, I'm not jealous. You can listen to the other shows. But at the end of the day, who cares, right? Right? Are you listening to this show because you're helping us out on our journeys, or are you listening because you can't stop? Right? So keep that up, keep that going. I did hear people say, you know, be careful, BC. You know, can't always control that BDE. You may be running Luke Thomas out of this job if you keep up these solo shows. You know what? I'm not afraid of that. I'm not trying to take Luke Thomas down. All right? I'm not trying to one up him. You're damn right. Every single show. You're gonna come? Come on, right? Right? I mean, here's the deal. I'm not trying to take Luke's job. But if I don't come, you know, to the field and act like I'm trying to, like I'm ready to, we can't have morning combat. It can't be the best damn show in the game today, okay? Luke alone, very successful. 100,000 subscribers, plaques on the wall. Also very safe. Tastes the same, right? It's like a cruise ship by day 6, right? Everything kind of tastes the same. Okay? I'm bringing it the best I can. I'm unleashing this BDE today because if I don't do that, I'm not getting the best out of Luke Thomas. I'm not making it a little dangerous for him, you know? And I like danger. At least not in my personal life. Pretty boring in my personal life. But in front of the camera, I like pleasure spiked with pain, and MK is my aeroplane. So be seated. The captain is here. We already knew that coming in, right? I know some of you are a little nervous that, you know, hey, he's a fun captain, but if he's running the show alone, he may run us into the ground. He may run us away from this show with art so experimental, so abrasive that they're not ready for it, right? But like one Sully Sullenberger, maybe a rocky ride. But I'll land safely. I'll put it right in the fucking Hudson River, okay? Right in the middle, right? Right? Okay? So not everybody can do this. You know, if you're a nursing mother, if you got heart issues, this show, you know, I wouldn't try this at home. You know, you may lose your job. Damn right may lose yourself. But the reason why I'm not afraid to do that is because you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to go, right? Opportunity. Once in a life, Mom Spaghetti, right? So let's bring it. Let's bring it hard. Let's do this thing. You want 30 days free of Showtime? Why the heck would you not? Okay, Showtime.com/something. And what you'll get right there is a free trial. 30 days boxing. The only place in the States to watch Bellator MMA. Great documentaries, the UFO one. Get on that. Movies and more. If you don't like it at the end of the 30 days, dude, pound that shit. Pound the sand, go home. We don't need you, okay? We'd like you. We don't need you. I said we. Notice that? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's the intro, oddly enough, awkwardly enough. Shout out to our great listeners who are keeping us afloat while Luke's away. The BC will play, but he's going to come back, and we're going to bring it. So get ready for that. Shout out to Bill and Jen, RV Adventures. We see you. We see you. You're living the American dream. Like Luke says, 2 of the greatest living Americans today. Why? Because they had the balls to put it all on the line. You know, they had the cojones to go live the dream and document the American life on the road, national parks. You know, work by day in the RV there, Jen, while Bill fixes shit. But play by night, and we're enjoying the pictures, so great work. Shout out to Josh Montgomery, who just came back from the Jason Isbell concert. I hear you, bro. Top shelf stuff. Web screen, hopefully your infant son doing well. Thank you for the quote again. Yes, that is me, by the way. Okay? Apropos, right? 2-man journey right now. One man's not coming. Just me. Just BC. All right? Let's do it. Let's get through this war. Let's hit it up. Why don't we do the rock away and lean right? Because it's time for your top 5 topics of the weekend in combat sports. And we kick off with the big one on Saturday night. Hopefully you caught our instant analysis with your boy BC immediately after, but it was Upset City in Las Vegas, the PBC on Fox pay-per-view. Yordenis Ugas defending his WBA welterweight title against the living legend himself, the ageless wonder, 42-year-old Manny Pacquiao. But ageless is an interesting word. It's the word we sort of use to praise Pacquiao coming in. How the hell is he still doing this? What is this doing to his legacy? You know, to a degree, age is the outgoing narrative, too. It's not the prevailing one, though. The prevailing one is that Yordenis Ugas got the biggest opportunity in his life, 11 days notice, and he hit the ball over the fence. He absolutely came in and exceeded the expectations that we thought, put forth the best, most complete performance of his career, and did so by leaning on his strengths. He took chances. He had, to stand in front of Manny Pacquiao with a high guard and be responsibly enough defensively to not get picked apart on his feints and his explosive combinations. That takes something. Yes, he's a big welterweight. Yes, Manny's a small one. Played a big factor. Yes, so did the length. But I say age part of this because I think, 60-40. 60% of this fight was that Yordenis Ugas was the wrong opponent to fight on 11 days notice at age 42, coming off a 2-year layoff. But the other 40% has to be said. Age has caught up with Manny Pacquiao, or at least age mixed with inactivity, which I think was a big part of this. Because you look at the Manny who, let's remember, when he lost to Jeff Horn in that controversial fight, we thought he was old and washed. We didn't take into account maybe not a great training camp, the travel to Australia. I don't know if he was mentally where he needed to be. But he came back a year later and put together 3 wins in 12 months, nearly became your 2019 Fighter of the Year at age 40. Beat Keith Thurman. We know this, we know this already, but he did it with activity. He was biting off more than he can chew, and he did it for the sake of his legacy. He did it for the sake of the fans. I'm sure he did it to protect the money and the payday and the opportunity because, Rafe Bartholomew was on the show last week saying, don't look past the political savviness of Pacquiao to want to potentially run for president of his home country next year and to want to come in there off a big performance and a win that we didn't expect he can get. Now, that was against Spence we didn't expect he can get. He became the betting favorite against Ugas, rightfully so, about 3-1, because the whole idea was if he can be that Pacquiao from 2 years ago, it's going to be too much for Ugas, but he wasn't that same guy. It was inactivity. It was the legs cramping up due to age. And again, it's the wrong fighter to have those things come together on short notice. A guy who's technically strong will play his one note and play it well, although I'll give Ugas a lot of credit for the adaptations he made to that. He wasn't one note in a sense. There was a lot of nuances to that note. And when he mixed in things like those sidearm body shots and the looping right leads against the southpaw, he fought a great fight. He deserves to have one. He deserves to get a big opportunity. I mean, who knows? We might see Yordenis Ugas next against Errol Spence Jr. for 3 of the 4 welterweight titles. I mean, it's a big fight. Would it be exciting? It's going to be a technical chess affair, but this one was exciting because even though Ugas neutralized Pacquiao, he was willing to pour out what was left. I mean, he didn't necessarily go, gonzo for the knockout, but he also didn't get physically dominated. He got outpointed. He got outthought. And there's a great performance for Ugas. And, the question falls to what's next for Pacquiao. He says he'll have a month to about figure out if he will run for president. You talk to people like Rafe Bartholomew. By the way, if you don't know Rafe's backstory, New York Times bestselling author, had done a lot of study in the Philippines when he was at Northwestern, had a scholarship to go out there, wrote a book on the pride and tradition of Filipino basketball, lived in the Philippines, knows, a ton about what's going on there. He says Pacquiao's not expected to win the election if he runs, but he is pretty much expected to run next year. What could that mean for his career moving forward? I know he said, and very humbly after the fight, that he's like 60-40 right now, 60% toward retirement, 40% towards fighting again. It's the passion. He still wants to fight, but he's realizing maybe the body's not reacting there. But I think there's some problems in the belief that Pacquiao won't fight again. A couple of them. First and foremost, he loves it too much. He freaking loves this. This is who he is. You talk to people that know Manny Pacquiao. Yes, he does great charitable work in the work to help his community as a senator and all that stuff. But he kind of also in his free time just is like a teenager, just wants to play hoops, have his buddies around, you know what I mean? Helps people. He's a great guy, but there's a simple quality to who he is. He just loves to fight, like the same way when he was fighting to survive on the streets, selling stuff, and got a chance to make a run as potentially a professional fighter, and constantly just kept climbing that ladder in such hugely incremental ways to have this ridiculously legendary career. And the fact that I think he can make excuses as to why he didn't get the best out of himself for this fight. The layoff, the last minute, all that. I mean, look, this is the wrong opponent, a technical marvel, bronze Olympic medalist from the Cuban school. Wrong opponent to kind of just wing it. And again, like, that's why he's Manny. That's why for the first time, seriously, Manny felt like the Grateful Dead coming back to tour. It felt like there were so many people that's just like, oh man, I get one more chance to see Manny. I know he's going to deliver. He's always going to face somebody tough, and he's always going to frickin' bring it. So there was almost like this could be it thing. And who knows, right? But I think the passion mixed with the fact that he wasn't physically bodied and handled, he wasn't knocked out, he'll be back. And I think specifically if he loses the election, now Freddie Roach says if he thinks if Pacquiao wins the election, that would be the final fight. He would want to fight one more as president. But I think it's even more likely if he loses, what is he gonna do next? Carries a large entourage. He gives away a lot of money. There are people like Amir Khan. He can go in there and make a big fight against a knockout, guaranteed. Or he could take challenges against others and, convince himself maybe. I always felt that Manny's got too much love for the game that he was going to be a candidate to hang on too long and take some tough losses in the end. We're not at that point, though. I hope he doesn't get to that point. But I think you'll see him again. And, something I touched on quickly in the instant analysis pod, does Pacquiao's performance, which was good in the first half of the fight, right? Scored it 3 rounds to 3. By the way, Ugas ended up winning by the 3 judges' scorecards, 7-5, 8-4, 8-4, 116-112, 8-4. That's how I also scored it. In the second half, it's just, Ugas shut down everything, Pacquiao, every avenue. And I think it's for opportunity to get back into the fight. And I think Pac was frustrated. I don't think it was a lack of stamina. I don't think it was necessarily a lack of unwillingness to go for broke, because I think he felt that he was in this fight and had a chance to win it on the cards when he went there. But does this suggest that it would have been an awful night had it been Errol Spence? And I think certainly the footage of seeing that physical version of Manny, yeah, you can say, okay, Spence is more well-rounded than Ugas, certainly. And he might be just as good or better in the categories that Ugas is very good at. I mean, Spence is the real deal. Could Spence have stopped this version of Manny? I mean, it's certainly in play, but something I talked about late Saturday was just, styles make fights. This was the wrong style matchup for Pacquiao to try to do this on last minute and just wing it. Whereas Spence, for as great as he is and well-rounded, we've kind of seen in the past, though, if you lure him. I mean, look, he stuck to a game plan against Mikey Garcia. That was, I'm going to box from the outside to prove to everybody how much I can box. God, he proved it. Good Lord, he proved it. 12 rounds, right? Shutout, just proved it. But, another fight, Sean Porter fight, for example, he got lured into a brawl because he's so great that he can brawl at a super elite high level there. So could Pacquiao have lured him into a little bit of an action fight, which would have given Pacquiao a better chance to hang? I still think Manny's losing no matter what. But I think you need to remember, though, that styles do make fights. Ugas fought the best of his capabilities and then some, and that's the wrong style matchup for this Manny. So interesting to see how we roll moving forward. There's the whole purse bid situation for Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. Will Porter pull out now, potentially, and just fight Ugas for the title? Who knows? I hope not. I hope we see Porter and Crawford next. Maybe Ugas and Ugas and Spence when he comes back. You also have Keith Thurman, and I really enjoyed on the PBC on Fox desk, Kay Abdo hosting, but Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, former rivals, they were hilarious together. I mean, that was like a buddy cop duo. And there's always talk of them rematching, which would be a big deal. They both kind of said, hey, maybe we'll just do it at 154 so we don't have to cut down. I mean, that'd be a great fight to make. But I think for Porter, there's some title fights to make too. So it's gonna be interesting how the landscape lays out moving forward. But you do have to stop, like I mentioned, and celebrate what Manny did give us. He didn't cheapen out. He went for the win, put up as strong a performance as he could, kept the train on the tracks and the event going, and took on the next guy in line who was very dangerous. And that's what legends do. And they don't stress about the loss. So Manny Pacquiao, keep your head held high, regardless of what you decide moving forward. So we love you. Look, there's very true legends who have. I mean, it's not that there's never been stuff to criticize in Manny's, personal life or anything. There's, everybody, no one's perfect, but Manny's got a lot of goodwill for boxing fans and boxing journalists and historians. I mean, a lot of goodwill built up, and it's rightfully so. All right, good stuff. Let's roll on. Let's get to why a lot of you are here, right? The MMA side of it, and there was a UFC Fight Night card in Las Vegas that, on the surface, you may have been able to forget about it in the glow of all things Manny Pacquiao's return. But not only was it a really good card, it had specifically 2 title implicative fights within the top of both the middleweight division and the flyweight division, which we'll get to in a second. But the main event was all about the potential for action here, and the winner taking a huge step toward another title opportunity when Jared Cannonier fought Kevin Gastelum. It went the 5 full rounds, 3-2, 49-48 across the board for Jared Cannonier. This is a very good, high-quality win for a guy at 37 who was here to announce on Saturday that he's not done. And it's not that anyone thought coming off the loss to Robert Whittaker that he could be done. It's just that when someone meets their ceiling in this game, particularly like him, who put through such a hard journey to cut from heavyweight to middleweight and figure out how to be great, and the commitment to his body that he did to get to that point. You know, he went in there against Robert Whittaker, and although he was game at the end in the 3rd round, he had moments and all that, and he never stopped trying to win. You know, technically, he got handled against one of the best of all time. Seriously, one of the, Robert Whittaker. Sometimes when a guy hits his ceiling, even subconsciously, they begin chapter 2 of the career, which is the exit, the slow exit. They still make big fights, they can still win big fights, but sometimes that tells them this is as far as you can go. And sometimes without realizing it, fighters sort of accept that and become that. Cannonier, I think, you had 25 minutes to see it here. He went back to the gym and figured some things out. His boxing was tremendous in this fight. His defensive boxing, switching stances. You see in the still there, the threat of the elbow when in close, certainly, but even just the pure boxing of the jab, of switching stances. He'll take one big shot at a time, and Gastelum did, mark up his face. Gastelum will land bombs, we know that. But Cannonier was so poised, even when he dropped, the turning point of this fight in round 3, when he dropped Gastelum with that hook. First of all, the balls on this guy, the chin, the backbone on Kelvin Gastelum, whatever you think about him. In 5 losses in 6 fights, we're gonna have a lot to say about what we all think about him. That guy's got a world-class chin. That hook knocks out 80% of UFC fighters. And of the remaining 20%, I'd say 10% are down and they're hurting and they're ready to be finished. And he popped right back up and landed some shots of his own. So I think that showed you that Cannonier's patience in those moments was worthwhile, was smart. And, it's always a little dangerous when you're not willing to go to the scorecards, because it's not like either one was that close to a knockout. But, there's a part of Cannonier that just was confident heading into the scorecards that he felt he had won at least 3 rounds, he'd done enough. Now, that's always dangerous, but this was a high-level fight with 2 guys who realized their positioning in this middleweight title division, and specifically for Gastelum, who you could argue really couldn't afford another loss, elite or not. They were willing to go after it to a level where they didn't leave themselves open to be finished. So this was interesting because Cannonier's ceiling before this, and we saw him hit that ceiling, or so I thought, like I just said, against Whittaker, was that, he's powerful enough to get out the BB plus guys, A minus guys. He has enough power where he could stumble into a title, and I don't mean stumble accidentally. I mean, he's powerful enough where I think we all believe he could knock somebody out and win a title, like a Jessica Andrade, who, I got nothing bad to say about her, but it's more power than anything else. And she did win a title, and shout out to her for doing that. And she was powerful. She slammed Rose on her head, and she's knocked other people cold, in a women's division that you don't typically see that. But I think for Andrade, though, if a technician can handle her and avoid that big one, then there's the levels, right? And I don't think, at least I didn't think Cannonier could outpoint an elite like this. And I know the kickback reactions, BC, good God, you haven't gotten to your Gastelum breakdown yet, but if Gastelum loses 5 out of 6, you can't say he's elite. I mean, at some point at the end of the day, right, Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. And I hate that phrase because it's so true. It's so like, in my head, I'm an athlete, right? I play old guy hoops once a week when it's not COVID. I've run a shitload of 10Ks, and I got into serious marathon training. It didn't get to end up getting to run the marathon, unfortunately, but I put through that training camp, if you will, for lack of a better term, and it was grueling as shit. I still think like I'm an athlete and a runner. The majority of my day-to-day life suggests I'm not. So, looking in the mirror, getting the black liver test from the old family doctor, so to speak, right? Like you are what the mirror in some ways says you are, or what your old body says you feel like. But yet again, against an elite foe, Gastelum put on an elite performance. Now there was holes and flaws with his performance, but it was elite. And to see Cannonier, a guy who I like, okay, if he's going to beat the elites, he's going to have to knock him out. No, I saw a change here I saw him raise his game to another level and realize that he had to based on what he learned from that Whitaker fight. And that's great to see, especially at a guy who's 37. But as you can see, he's in sick shape. And he put up 25 minutes of cardio. I don't think Jared Cannonier has had his last say in this division. Now, given the historic qualities of the top of this division with Adesanya and Whitaker there, not to mention some of those other scary players, do I believe Jared Cannonier will win the championship? No, I don't. But I believe that he's going to have a say again. He's going to get himself in another fight, maybe his next fight. That's either a #1 contenders fight or wins that and maybe gets another title. So he'll have his say again, is what I'm trying to say. He's not done improving, and that was great to see. Sliding over to Gastelum for a second. It's humbling. It's humbling for a guy like me who constantly sticking up for him because we're seeing elite performance. I'm sorry, we are. Okay, sometimes playing to the level of your competition, yes. Or playing to the style too much. He's too much of a follower in the cage normally. Not in this fight per se, but normally. Where it's like whatever pace you're putting out there, whatever energy you're putting out there, maybe except for the Adesanya fight, which was the best distillation of him, if you will. He'll react to what the opponent's doing rather than set the terms. The thing I loved about his performance on Saturday night, which, by the way, I did also score 3 rounds to 2 for Cannonier. First 2 for Gastelum, by the way, but that knockdown in round 3 did turn the tide, and, I don't think Gastelum ever got over that hump. But for a lot of this fight, Gastelum was setting a very good tone. He did a lot of what I sort of said coming in that I need to see out of him. I believed in the work he put in with Henry Cejudo that helped him see the sport a little bit differently. I loved his boxing. He got out with the jab, with foot movement, and with a way to really not just look to counter with the big left hand, just be that big one-punch champ, but the guy who was taking the fight to Cannonier. And he was able to set up some really good combinations. And although I mentioned earlier that the best part about Cannonier's defense is he never really was taking more than one shot at a time, and that's largely true. Even though Gastelum was letting go some powerful combinations, some of that was getting blocked, and maybe that's ultimately why Cannonier got the win here. But I think another big reason why Gastelum did not get the win, and you saw the rightful frustration in his face after the scorecards were read, after putting in what looked like a great camp, and he's ready to just. This is becoming like Tin Cup. Remember the final scene in Tin Cup, Kevin Costner? It's like he could have laid it up and had a chance, but he's like, no, I gotta make this shot. I gotta go for it. That was sort of the Gastelum's mentality in taking this fight, although he wasn't putting out a reckless game plan. But there's something that Daniel Cormier teased at right around round 3, but I don't think the broadcast, for my taste, hammered down on it enough. What lost this fight for Kelvin Gastelum was, although it put out an elite effort from the boxing standpoint, there was no threat of the takedown. I know he tried 7 takedowns, and credit to Cannonier, who stuffed them all, but first 3 or 4 takedown attempts looked more like, in the back of his mind, he's thinking, oh, I have a quota I have to fill. My coach told me to. I have to take. They looked like he was just trying to get the takedown attempts in, and then he got stuffed. And by the end, it just looked like Cannonier was seeing them coming, and to his credit, stopped that. But Gastelum doesn't have that completely well-rounded game on a consistent basis where he's giving you that threat of the takedown that would make his striking even more crisper and even more powerful and valuable. It's still, although it was good boxing and good movement, just like he used against Adesanya, by the way, not more traditional boxing. He was more of a counter-striker there, but he was almost doing Pacquiao-like rushes in with combinations and coming, and he was dangerous from the outside. It was still a little bit one-note heavy, even though that note had some variations in the boxing. There was no threat of that. And I think in a close tactical fight here, that was the difference. He wasn't able to disguise that or have that threat at least out there. So, you are what your record says you are. And I want to defend Gastelum as I always want to do. Am I still so high from being there at UFC 36? Yes, for life, brother. You better believe it. Anyone else that was blessed to be there or sit next to me for Joanna and Whaley or any other classic fight or performance we've seen, it's a part of you. We're fans at the end of the day. It's a part of you. It can affect your decision making as an analyst. But yet I'm still seeing almost perfect, and I don't mean perfect performances from a standpoint that there was perfection in the cage, but perfectly well-rounded, all the categories clicked. I'm not seeing that for Gastelum, but I know it's in there. But at some point, 5 losses out of 6 fights, I'm not saying he's going to get cut, nor should he get cut. But he's got to make some serious decisions that go beyond, should I consistently match myself as hard as I have been? when you're somebody like Manny Pacquiao who's doing that, but you're largely winning, it's sort of like we can stand here and salute. But if you're doing that and losing, I could see the frustration. He's close. He's freaking close. I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, no disrespect to his team, but like, if he's going the distance of reaching out to Cejudo, maybe it's a better fit for him to change up camps and to do somebody like the captain, Elber Racine, and get deeper into that. And it's nothing against his team now, but he needs some kind of change because he's not elite. The record speaks for itself. He's close. He shows flashes, but he's always shown those flashes. So I guess I'm gonna have to stop defending him. It's like when you're in high school, in like, you know, there's this kid that you want to be friends with, but your parents are like, nah, I don't know about that kid. You know, that's unsafe there. And, you know, and you want to defend the kid, but he keeps showing up in the police blotter in the local town paper, you know, and you're like, no, Mom, you don't understand. He's good. He's got a good heart, you know. Dylan's a real good kid, right? I know his dad's in jail. And somehow for a high schooler, he lives on his own in his own house, and his mom's some weird sort of gypsy hippie off in the desert. And his dad eventually blows up, and he's got this weird on and off again relationship with Brenda. And he's also cheating on her on the side with Kelly. And he's got really an adult hairline for a guy in high school, although very solid sideburns. And maybe he's keeping in such close friendship with that goody two-shoe Brandon because he believes he's getting close enough to something that he knows he's missing on the inside. Maybe all that's true. But Mom and Dad, Dylan's a pretty good guy at the end of the day. Kelvin Gastelum looks like a freaking elite fighter when he's in there against elite guys, but he's not winning them. So you got to figure that out. I don't know. We're past that point of just, you know, something's got to change now. Love him. Cannonier did admit afterwards, I need the money. I can't wait for the Whitaker Adesanya rematch, which may be pushed up to 2022, as we've talked about with the COVID conditions in the Oceanic region. Maybe he'll have to, and he can't wait that long financially. And it's interesting. And I don't think he said that to sort of stir up the fighter pay thing and the Cheyenne Bays when she was very, very honest a couple weeks back and sort of get us into that discussion per se. He's just saying the reality of the situation, which I think echoes the Miesha Tate headline that had some run last week, where she said she basically spent her entire paycheck plus win bonus for her UFC return on training. And it's like, you know, you could certainly say, well, you didn't have to invest that much in yourself, but you kind of do when you get to this level. You kind of do. You know, it's at this level, we're talking about this with Gastelum, right? At this level, the difference between being a contender and a pretender, the difference between being a Michael Johnson, who's like the best guy with a bad record. We had the debate last week, like with Randy Couture. Who's the best fighter we've ever seen with a kind of a crap record? Well, Michael Johnson, a guy that we all know has those flashes of being elite. Gastelum's another one of those guys. The difference, though, is so damn close that, I mean, look, UFC's got a hell of a pay structure model, because not only does it keep the pay down and allows them to expand, it keeps the hunger high, because everybody desperately wants to get to that 1% level of being a consistent headliner and getting pay-per-view money and getting that championship level pay so badly that they're willing to risk it all, because you have to risk it all to be at this level. And it's humbling. It's sobering. I wish it wasn't the case, you know? I wish Jared Cannonier didn't say, yeah, I kind of have to come back in 4 months.
I strive for quality.
Nice day, isn't it?